The rebels are approaching. We must defend the Death Star. You there, shut that thermal exhaust port. It's our only weakness.
What are you doing? You can't give me orders. I outrank you.
I am Grand Moff Tarkin, and I order you to close that port.
I'm a Great Moff, so...
What? That's not higher than Grand. Wait, is it? I don't actually know.
Obviously. It goes Great Moff, Grand Moff, Good Moff, So-So Moff, and Postmaster General.
Is that highest to lowest or lowest to highest?
It's like golf.
Fine. You, close the exhaust port, now.
Actually, I outrank both of you lowly moffs. I'm a Vice Tungus.
Explain that immediately.
I report to Tungus Taylor, who in turn reports to Tungus Badungus Depardieu, who's the notary public to Darth Vader himself.
Oh man, Darth Vader's coolest.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rollin' 20s. We are the show that says, spoiler, in the next film, they blow up the Death Star. I am Jeremy.
Steve. And Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library, missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and on Tumblr. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The music you heard is by Machina Supremacy. You can find more of their discography for free download at machinasupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard was by Dorkly. It's called Grand Moff Mix-Up. You can find more of their videos on youtube.com under their channel of Dorkly. It's the end of the year, and it couldn't come soon enough, for crying out loud.
Seriously. Everybody's dying.
Oddly enough, wait till after January 20th and see what's in the White House. There could be more of us soon.
This is true.
I made a British friend this year, and he swore up and down that there's nothing dumber than British politics. And I looked at him and said, "Oh yeah, we got a Trump card." And unfortunately, it looks like that Trump card is being played by Russia, in fact. So... Oh, my goodness. It's getting uglier out there, even on Facebook. My conservative friends are starting to get in an uproar that now there's all these different ways that they say they're trying to delegitimize the vote. And I'm thinking, delegitimize? If the Russians were voting, then how did it ever legitimize? It's getting ugly in that situation, but it's something that needs to be addressed. How are you guys doing?
I'm not feeling so good today.
That time of the month? I thought you were old enough you hit menopause by now, man.
Nope. Still 10 years away from that.
Oh, okay. Jesse?
Yesterday visited my brother and his family just to drop off gifts for his kids.
Okay.
That was fun. Almost didn't recognize him.
Why, are they swapping kids at random? Do you think they're pulling ones in off the street or something?
I almost didn't recognize my brother.
Oh, okay.
I know it was because he's like 6 inches taller than I am.
Do you think he's a host?
But other than that, I went and saw Rogue One.
Oh, okay. How'd you like it?
A little slow at the beginning, but it went over the moon at the end.
That's no moon.
Yep.
Don't make it that easy, man.
Oh, I did that on purpose.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Catching up to the rest of us. Great. Oh, my goodness. It's been a long week for me. I spent the entirety of the last week going through those panels we did at Great American Comic-Con, and I gave them all to Anthony, so if they're not up by now, I blame him. I did the job, darn it. I went beyond. Other than that, it's a holiday season. I finished my holiday shopping. I need to buy a couple more wrapping accoutrements, and that's all done. And I guess you could say we had some interesting goodwill over the last week.
Oh.
Well, yeah. the fact that I went to my Facebook and asked people for help for one individual
Right.
to afford Disneyland park tickets for someone who was going to pay their share of the hotel, stay in the hotel, but not be able to go in the parks, which I applauded her significantly for being able to keep a promise, but at the same time, that felt self-defeating and depressing. And I've been to the parks by myself. That in of itself is kind of depressing. But the idea of her sitting back there with in a suite at the Disneyland Hotel, being able to look over the parks while like 10 other people, including myself, are wandering around inside them, I can only imagine what that would do to somebody's psyche. So
I'm doing pretty good.
Huh? What was that?
I'm doing pretty good.
I don't even want to ask what the hell you're talking about. But at the same time, I just went to my Facebook list and asked people if they were willing to make a Christmas miracle, and they did it in less than 3 days. So it's a little astonishing. I feel like I should be on like Hollywood Helpers on Hollywood Babylon or something. But at least it came together. She's going to have a good time, and I don't know what else to say about it. It was done, and it still astonishes me. The subject of this week is Batman Post-Rebirth, issues 1 through 6 by Tom King. We'll get to that after we get through the news of the week. And first up is Marvel Media News. We talk about Marvel properties that are ending up everywhere but the comic book pages. And something I didn't know, it's not consequential news per se, but apparently Marvel Studios is temporarily suspending its search for a Captain Marvel director.
Huh. Really?
Yes. And the only reason I know that was because there was a story this week that says that, according to Variety, the search for a director for the 2019 film will begin again in the new year. Part of that has to do, I'm sure, with the holiday season. Part of that has to do with the fact that apparently Marvel executives are looking for a new script treatment very soon for the film. So it looks like there's a few rewrites that have come down the pipe. I can't say if that came down because they were worthy of the script or if it was because there are more rewrites to make it fit in with the existing Marvel pantheon of films. I don't know which reason it is. But Kevin Feige said in April that they expected to announce a director in a month or two. Then in October, they said they would announce a director by the end of the year, and they still haven't. Although it's coming to time where they really need to make a decision. It's not like it's under the wire, but I'm sure Captain Marvel is going to be an effects-heavy film, and the current schedule of release for it is March 8th, 2019. So they're going to need to make a decision fairly soon.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Doctor Strange and the controversies that the internet created around the movie.
Oh.
Well, as you recall, the internet was upset between this and Iron Fist about whitewashing, as they put it.
Oh.
When white actors are put in roles that people think are tailor-made for Asian actors or directors, right?
Mm-hmm.
In particular, Doctor Strange, a lot of people got upset when Tilda Swinton was cast as the Ancient One, the Ancient Master who ran the fictional city that Doctor Strange trained in. The original Ancient One in comic books was Tibetan, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, except when you're making a movie, you have to be kind of careful about these things. Number one, because the Ancient One was a host of racist stereotypes when it was created.
Oh, yeah, dear God.
And number two, a large amount of the movie-going public is now Chinese, and China has the One China policy, which means, Tibet, Taiwan, and several other countries they feel are wholly theirs, not independent states to be referenced as such. One thing that's come to light recently is that Margaret Cho said that Tilda Swinton contacted her not long after she was cast. And Cho, in interviews, said that Swinton's approach was classified as imperialistic. Cho has said, quote, "I felt like her house Asian, like I'm her servant, like I was following her with an umbrella," unquote. She went on to say that Swinton requested that Cho send a message to Asians regarding the casting, in that Swinton did not understand the outcry over her being cast as a character who appeared in comics as Asian. And Cho said that it was so weird and made the exchange sound pretty, I guess you could say, vitriolic. Tilda Swinton herself has not responded to Cho's comments in the media this week. However, her representative, Brian Swardstom, did. Specifically to Jezebel. It's one of the branches of the former Gawker blog sites. And what the man did was he didn't release a statement. he released the entirety of the email exchange between Cho and Swinton.
Oh.
It's a bold step.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I read through the entirety of the exchange. It must have been about 8 emails back and forth. I'll tell you what, I will read the first 3, and you can tell me if we should keep going with this. How does that sound?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, it starts out with Tilda Swinton emailing Margaret Cho. Quote, Dear Margaret, we've never met, but you've been in my head for years. I'm a fan. I want to ask you a favor now, which is sprung out of a truly important social conversation, but may be headed for some crazy making shit. The diversity debate, all strength to it, has come knocking at the door of Marvel's new movie, Doctor Strange. I'm told that you are aware of this, but since I'm that extinct beast that does no social media, I'm unaware of what exactly anybody has said about any of it. I believe there are some ironies about this particular film being a target, but frankly I'm much more interested in listening than saying anything much. I would really love to hear your thoughts and have a private conversation about it. Are you up for this? Can we email? No wrong answer here. Tell me to fuck off if you feel like it. In any and every case, much love to you, Tilda. Unquote.
Okay, that's pretty amicable.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the first response from Margaret Cho, and this is actually dated May 13th, 2016. Okay?
Okay.
Quote, Sure, I'm a big fan of yours, since Orlando. Well, what do you know so far? I can tell you from my perspective what's happening. The character you played in Doctor Strange was originally written as a Tibetan man, and so there's a frustrated population of Asian Americans who feel the role should have gone to a person of Asian descent. The larger part of the debate has to do with the whitewashing of Asian and Asian Americans in film. Our stories are told by white actors over and over again, and we feel at a loss to know how to cope with it. Protest seems to be the only solution. We just want more representation of images of ourselves in film. TV is getting better in terms of diversity, but film is lagging behind. Anyway, hope this helps. We can totally email and we can be private. Best, M. Unquote.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's Tilda Swinton's reply to this email. Quote, Thank you so much for your reply. So grateful to have a chance to chew this cud with you. Super clear. Here's a situation I reckon Marvel was in. The old comic books from way back when are stuffed with stereotypes that we all could find offensive for any number of reasons. The film, like any film adaptation, is a riff on the books. The Ancient One may have been written as a Tibetan man in the comics, but Marvel, in a conscious effort to shake up stereotypes, wanted to avoid tired cliché. They cast Chiwetel Ejiofor as a second lead, a white Transylvanian in the books, and wrote a significant Asian character to be played by Benedict Wong. With the Ancient One, the wise old Eastern geezer Fu Manchu type in the book, wanting to switch up the gender, another diversity department, and not wanting to engage with the old dragon lady trope, they chose to write the character as being of ancient Celtic origin and offered the role to me, presumably on ancient grounds. I accepted happily, impressed that, for once, they aimed to disrupt the wisdom must be male, never-ending story, and, by the way, for once, wanting to feature a woman who's a badass, over 26, and not simply bursting out of a bikini. The biggest irony about this righteous protest targeting this particular film is the pains the makers went to avoid it. A personal irony to my being even remotely involved in this controversy is what I stand up for and always have, whether it is challenging the idea of what women look like, or how any of us live with our lives, or how we educate our children. Diversity is pretty much my comfort zone. The idea of being caught on the wrong side of this debate is a bit of a nightmare to me. I am as sick as anybody of the lack of a properly diverse cinematic universe, pretty much sick of the Anglophone world in general, sick of all the men's stories, sick of all the symmetrical features and Mattel-inspired limbs. I'm a Scottish woman of 55 who lives in the Highlands. There's precious little projected on contemporary cinema screens that means a great deal to my life, if truth be told. So, how best might we focus this thing? To offer intelligent and empowered thinking, and see something constructive coming out of this moment. Ducking the issue is not what I'm about. I want to meet it, but if possible, move things forward by how I meet it. I realize as far as I'm concerned, this possibly means saying nothing. So far I've attempted to correct the notion that I accepted to offer to play an Asian. The most significant and damaging misunderstanding out there, it seems. Beyond that, I don't feel it appropriate for me to add anything, certainly at this point. But I would love to know what ideas you or anyone you know have of something properly progressive to bring to this table. The debate is so important to all of us, it needs to build itself on strong ground. Love, Tilda, unquote.
Okay.
Where's the
doesn't sound like-
hostility?
Yeah, this doesn't sound like at all an angry exchange or Tilda is saying, "Answer me, Asian."
Yeah.
It's
I'm missing the imperialism.
Oh my goodness, I really have trouble trying to figure out how Cho categorized this as such an evil exchange or Tilda Swinton being overbearing in any form. This sounds like two relatively learned ladies just talking.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's one other email in here that Margaret Cho sent for sure. Yeah, there's just one other here by Margaret, and it sounds like another conversational piece. So whatever Cho has been telling to the media is definitely not what she's been emailing, apparently. Which is sad, because I used to be a big fan of Margaret Cho. Now I have trouble looking at her image based on this miscategorization. You guys got anything to add?
Because I'm really horrible with pop culture. What else has Margaret Cho done?
She's done some TV, a little bit of movies. She's never featured in anything, as I know. Her primary career up until this point was stand-up comedian.
Okay, gotcha.
So, unfortunately, it sounds like she's doing a publicity grab at the expense of Marvel Studios and Tilda Swinton in particular. Which is sad. Oh, well. Marvel executive Joe Quesada has taken on a new role of director. He's directed 6 mini-episodes of a web series that's supposed to be an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff called Slingshot. Slingshot is set between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s 3rd and 4th season. Its scheduled run is 6 episodes. The episodes are 4 to 5 minutes long. They are out now. And Slingshot is the character of Yo-Yo Rodriguez in both comic books and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, okay.
The super speeder who snaps back in place when she's done running. According to lead actor Clark Gregg from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., quote, Joe Quesada is one of the legendary Shaolin ninja priests of Marvel. We've been friends for a long time, and it's really a treat to get him to be out here and to get him to work and to get to work with him the first time he directs, unquote. Quesada has previously directed motion comic adaptations of Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev's Spider-Woman, and he cites his own comic book experience for doing Slingshot. So it's already out right now on ABC.com and on YouTube. And last up in Marvel media news, there is a new report running around this week that Hugh Jackman took a pay cut to do Logan.
I heard about this. Just the headline.
Yeah, I just don't quite know how to respond to it. There's part of me that's skeptical, part of me that's not, and I just don't understand why you take a pay cut to do this. Supposedly, according to Ain't It Cool's Eric Vespe, quote, Director James Mangold said that Hugh Jackman took a salary cut because he wanted to do an R-rated movie, unquote.
Who in that is the he? The
that
director
Hugh
wanted
Jackman,
to do? Oh,
Hugh Jackman supposedly wanted to do this movie R-rated, and to do so, he took a pay cut.
Their plan originally, regardless.
Yeah, I don't quite know. But apparently Jackman does have a habit of renegotiating his contract before every X-Men film he does. Taking a pay cut for this one, I guess it's feasible if you want to make it the way you want to make it, and the last couple of Wolverine movies haven't exactly been wowzers as far as box office.
Yeah.
So, like I said, grain of salt. But we'll find out pretty soon if it was worthwhile, because the movie Logan is scheduled to come out March 3rd, 2017. It might actually be the next comic book film out, now that I think about it.
Really? Nothing in January, February?
Not that I know of. January and February are not typically comic book movie release periods. Well, Deadpool broke that mold, but it's still not a regular item. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that one's coming out this year. It's coming out next year, right?
If it holds... I don't think it's coming out till 2019, actually. I don't think they started filming yet. They only recently got a director again, as you recall. And now we have DC Media News. We talk about the other major company and their comic book properties heading into multimedia now and in the near future. Ben Affleck has been talking recently about filming The Batman, and he said that he is in no hurry to force Batman onto schedule. He said to the New York Times, quote, "I'm a real believer in not reverse engineering projects to meet a window or a date, but rather, when you get the right idea, when you get the right story, you get the right thing. Then you make the movie. So that's what we're doing, and I'm hoping to get that done," unquote.
I think Warner Bros. Might have other ideas.
Maybe, but it's hard to argue with Affleck's success because since he became a director, I mean, half the movies he's made have been up for Best Picture at a minimum. I don't recall if he himself has won Best Acting Oscars, but Argo specifically won a couple of Oscars after his work. And, I guess that's what it comes down to. It's hard to argue with actual success.
Yeah.
Well, now that story's come out, we can report that The Batman is expected to begin filming in spring of 2017, according to Affleck himself. He said, quote, "We're on the right track with that, and everything is coming together. We're still finishing up a script. I'm very excited," unquote. I'm sorry, we're still finishing up a script? Shouldn't that be done before you start filming?
When is it starting to film?
March of next year, supposedly, is when when the shooting schedule is supposed to begin. He went on to talk about some prior Batman films. Quote, "I respect all of those movies. Christopher Nolan did an incredible job. Christian Bale did an incredible job. Tim Burton did an incredible job. At a certain point, you have to look forward and try to believe in your own vision for it and not be looking over your shoulder the whole time. I go into that movie with a tremendous amount of respect for the other people who came before me," unquote. You're not going to mention Craig Shoemaker?
Would you?
If you're going to say you enjoyed all the Batman films, throw down. Actually, it was George Schumacher, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Craig Shoemaker is he's the comedian. No, George Schumacher, I believe, was the one who screwed up. There's still no release date yet for The Batman. A report from earlier this month, though, said that 2019's Justice League 2 was being delayed in order to focus on making The Batman. Another story where Batman beats up the Justice League. Huh. Further on in DC casting news, Patrick Wilson has been cast to play Aquaman's half-brother Orm, also known in comics as the Ocean Master. He will appear in the 2018 Aquaman movie, according to Deadline. Recently, Patrick Wilson has been starring in the Conjuring movie franchise, which was directed by James Wan, who is also directing Aquaman. You've probably seen Wilson and don't know it because he's been voicing the President of the United States in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. He also played Night Owl in The Watchmen.
Oh, okay.
And he also had an unspecified role in Ant-Man before leaving filming due to delays in that film's schedule after the departure of the original director of Ant-Man, Edgar Wright. Aquaman is currently scheduled to come out October 5th, 2018. Now, getting back into film for just another minute here. Word has come down that they have picked a director to helm the film Gotham City Sirens, which is supposed to be the Harley Quinn film. Well, actually, it may just be titled Harley Quinn, but it's based on the Gotham City Sirens. In other words, the characters of Poison Ivy and Catwoman will feature heavily in this movie as well. The director of the Harley Quinn film, which will be titled Gotham City Sirens, is David Ayer.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Because David Ayer is the guy who directed Suicide Squad and said, "Fuck Marvel" in interviews around the release of the film.
Oh.
Right.
At least the tone will be the same.
I'm not sure that's a great thing at this point, sir.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency under Snyder has done so well for us so far as our opinions as well. I don't know if this is good news or not significantly because I have not seen Suicide Squad yet. I haven't been able to bring myself to pay money for the movie. It has recently come out on DVD. I have not seen it that way yet. I don't pirate movies, so don't ask me about that. So I haven't seen the movie as of yet. Have you guys?
I have.
Yeah, Justin,
and?
I haven't.
Better. That's like a hair better than Batman v Superman, but yeah, a hair better.
So it's not a flaming dumpster fire.
No, but it's still smoldering.
Okay. Well, how about this? Is that there may not be one spin-off film to come out of Suicide Squad. There may be 3.
Okay.
In addition to Gotham City Sirens, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers is also working on a sequel and spin-off featuring Deadshot and Will Smith.
Okay.
You sound less excited for this than for the Harley Quinn film.
Oh, Harley Quinn was interesting. Deadshot really wasn't.
Okay. Well, there's no information as to what the third film could possibly be. Current speculation is it'll be Joker-centric. Interesting choice. And
Considering barely in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah. And what few times he was in the film, a lot of people seem to categorize his performance as very forgettable.
Apparently he filmed a hell of a lot more for it, but it hit the cutting room floor, so...
Actually, according to the extended cut, not that much, because his role went from 5 minutes to around 15.
Triple the time.
Which wasn't much time at all. You know, triple nothing is still nothing, sir. Now, when it comes to the DCW, the CW and the DC shows they have, there's a little bit of news about casting. Actress Elise Levesque has been cast in Legends of Tomorrow as Guinevere.
Like of King Arthur fame?
Of Camelot 3000 fame.
And
I'm
what the
not
hell's
familiar with
Camelot
that.
3000?
I can feel the shock. Camelot 3000 is a story that was in DC Comics of a sci-fi future where King Arthur's Camelot was reborn. It was published from 1982 to 1985. It was DC's first maxi series. In other words, it was a series with a definitive beginning and end. And Camelot 3000 will be episode 12 of Legends of Tomorrow Season 2. It's scheduled to air February 14th, 2017. If you're trying to get me back into Legends of Tomorrow, this is not the way. A sci-fi Guinevere. You know what? I'd rather just watch another episode of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. I enjoyed that cartoon.
Oh, okay. That was very short-lived, too.
Yes. Well, it seems that The Flash is going to be getting another character from DC Comics for its show. However, it's not exactly a direction I would personally go, because this particular character is... They end up on a lot of lists online of some of the worst Justice League members ever.
Oh.
How much do you know about the character of Cindy Reynolds?
First time I've heard of this character.
Probably not, but most people don't refer to this character by their real name. Cindy Reynolds has the ability to cast all manner of illusions and has worked with the Justice League and Birds of Prey many times since the comics debut in the 80s. She can sometimes distract or scare enemies and or camouflage herself. And the character's name in comic books is Gypsy.
Oh, okay.
She's a member of
this character.
Yeah, she's a member of the infamous Justice League Detroit, one of what was voted by fans as one of the worst Justice League teams of all time. She was on the same team as Vibe, if that tells you anything.
Oh, fun.
So, I mean, sometimes a turnaround of a character can really work, but it takes something special to do, and I think you're going to have to stray pretty far from the source material to make it work. You know what I mean?
And you said it's going to be on The Flash?
Yes. During a recent Q&A, Carlos Valdez, who plays Vibe in the series, said next year his role will move closer to how it is in the comics, thanks to another alum from DC. Quote, "There's going to be a new visitor to our world named Gypsy. DC comic fans will be familiar with Gypsy. She's going to be coming into our world, and Vibe will definitely get to learn some new skills as part of getting to know her," unquote. That sounds like a porn move.
Yeah.
The Flash still currently airs at 9 p.m. It is on mid-season break. I don't know when it's coming back. I want to say in February of this year. Or February 2017, sorry. The DC comedy show Powerless is going to debut relatively soon, on February 2nd, 2017. And it turns out, not only are they bringing this show as a mid-season replacement, they've actually changed the storyline of the show.
Really?
Yeah, if you recall, when we first found out about it and was talking about it, this was supposed to be the story of an insurance company in the DC universe and its trials and tribulations of following around superheroes and supervillains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pay attention, because here's the new synopsis. Quote, in a world where humanity must cope with the collateral damage of superheroes and supervillains, Emily Locke begins her first day as a director of research and development for Wayne Security, a subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises that specializes in products that make defenseless bystanders feel a little safer. Full of confidence and big ideas, Emily quickly learns that her expectations far exceed those of her new boss and office mates, so it will be up to her to lead the team toward their full potential and the realization that you don't need superpowers to be a hero, unquote.
Okay. The premise sounds a bit more campy, but I kind of like the idea.
Yeah, but it also sounds like there should be cameos by by Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, just kind of wandering through the scene.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
There was a pilot that was taped, but that pilot was taped before the departure of the original showrunner, Ben Queen. So I'm guessing the pilot was probably entirely reworked. But it's up for it's up for a mid-season order now, so obviously it's coming out under this new premise. Hopefully, the thing is, though, either premise has an equal chance of succeeding as long as the script is good. It sounds like the script for the original pilot wasn't that good from all indications. The few people I talked to at Comic-Con 2016 who saw it didn't want to say much. So hopefully they fix what issues they had. The creator of Young Justice is asking fans to petition DC Comics for something. Greg Weisman is the co-creator of the Young Justice animated series, and it was recently announced that Season 3 is coming out, although I don't know if that's a TV release or a Netflix release. What he is saying is, quote, Brandon Vietti and I are hard at work on Season 3 of the Young Justice television series, but A, we just got started, and 2, making animated episodes takes a long time, 10 months minimum. Minimum. So if you want more YJ stories sooner, the answer is pretty simple. Artist Christopher Jones and I are chomping at the bit to make more Young Justice stories in comic book form. Producing a comic book takes considerably less time than producing television episodes, so if we get a green light on a comic book series now, you could theoretically have new stories in a matter of months, unquote.
Buy our comic books.
Yeah, it's a nice premise and everything.
The only greenlight our comic books.
Right. I mean, that is the inherent problem, is you're asking DC to greenlight a comic book that, unless specifically stated, is far outside the universe they just rebuilt. And Rebirth is going well for DC, so I don't know if they want to put out a series like this at this time, especially since half the characters in it don't exist yet. I'm not aware of a Rebirth version of Miss Martian, Artemis, Rocket. I think the Blue Beetle has shown up recently.
Yeah, he's got his own Rebirth comic.
And then Superboy is inherently complicated in this universe.
Yeah.
Weren't they having 2 run side by side or something like that?
Two what?
2 universes.
No, they weren't.
Oh.
Rebirth is the replacement for what became from the New 52 post-Flashpoint era. They've tweaked everything again. However, this tweaking is making things better, in my opinion. It seems like they're making more thought-provoking stories out of their characters. But it's still a work in progress, and I don't mean that it's bad. I mean that by saying they're still establishing this new universe, and I don't think they want to muddle it up by adding something else to it that's out of universe at this point. Last up in DC media news, Wonder Woman has been stripped of an accolade.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, she was recently named the UN Ambassador for the Empowerment of Women.
Oh, right.
The UN giveth and the UN taketh.
Too many people bitched.
Yeah, there was an online petition against the appointment that had raised nearly 45,000 signatures, which is not a significant portion of the population. The petition read, quote, although the original creators may have intended Wonder Woman to represent a strong and independent warrior woman with a feminist message, the reality is that the character's current iteration is that of a large-breasted white woman of impossible proportions, unquote. Obviously, they haven't read the comics recently.
Yeah, she's actually Greek.
According to DC's Courtney Simmons, quote, Wonder Woman stands for peace, justice, and equality, and for 75 years she's been a motivating force for many, and will continue to be long after the conclusion of her UN honorary ambassadorship, unquote. Apparently, dozens of UN employees openly protested the decision outside the building during the ceremony. Dozens? How many people does the UN employ? Because I got a picture it's more than dozens.
Let's see. Office workers, custodial workers, security people, technicians.
I believe the UN also has a volunteer staff.
Oh.
So
Lobbyists?
I don't know. This was one of those cases where it was a superbly nice gesture, I thought, and wasn't one that was very politically motivated. But it seems like too many people took this the Barbie route. You know, how am I supposed to look like this? No one asked you to.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty harmless.
So did
But
I.
what do I know?
Thought it was a nice accolade for a character with a long-standing history, but apparently other people said I can't fit in that outfit. Oh well.
I beg to differ because I've seen plenty of people cosplay it.
I'm not buying a corset. Screw you. Next up is general media news. This is where we talk about multimedia properties that are not Marvel and DC related, but still are very geeky in their own right. We've been talking for weeks now about Star Trek Discovery. The casting is finally moving forward on this, and now, after all this time, it seems like they finally picked a lead actress. Sonequa Martin Green will be cast as Lieutenant Commander Rainsford, according to Deadline. She's going to continue the work on another show she's already doing while she does Star Trek Discovery. Martin Green's character has not been named specifically, although it's been described as a sensitive hero, and the part was written for a non-white woman in mind. Sonequa Martin Green is black, and she currently plays the role of Sasha on The Walking Dead. Star Trek Discovery will premiere on CBS in May 2017 before moving to CBS's online all-access only. We've talked about that. The first episode or two will be on TV. The rest of them will only be available via CBS's online pay TV service.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll
Suck.
see if that works for them.
Yeah. In addition to Sonequa Martin Green, Star Trek Discovery has cast Klingons. Not generic Klingons, a regular cast of Klingons. Shazad Latif of Penny Dreadful will be playing Kol, a Klingon commanding officer. According to Deadline, Kol was mentored by T'Kuvma, who will be played by Chris Obi from Roots, and will soon be seen in American Gods. T'Kuvma is a leader trying to unite the Klingon houses, which usually is pretty hard to do. Then, Mary Chieffo has been cast as a third Klingon named L'Rell, the battle deck commander, so I'm going to guess she has a job on a ship. So this is in addition to already cast Michelle Yeoh as Captain Georgiou, Doug Jones as Lieutenant Saru, and Anthony Rapp as Lieutenant Stamets. So if casting rumors hold true, there's still a few admirals and a doctor left to cast for the show so far. And then you got to find a lot of extras to fit them Reds. When it comes to Star Wars, the Han Solo spin-off film has a filming date. There was a small video attached to it. I don't know what the filming date is as of yet, but she did say that the trailer for Star Wars Episode 8 would not be seen until sometime in the spring. The Han Solo film, wow, I just realized how redundant those words are. It's scheduled for release on May 25th, 2018. The untitled Episode 8 will precede it on December 15th, 2017. Looks like Disney is intent on making December Star Wars month.
Yep, sounds that way.
Now, did you hear that Carrie Fisher wrote a new autobiography?
About her relationship with Harrison Ford?
No, I would imagine that's titled Ew, but the new book is called The Princess Diarist. It's a look about her life making the first Star Wars film. And there's a couple excerpts that were released on IO9, one regarding meeting George Lucas, one that was about what was so appealing about Princess Leia, and a description of her audition. Which would you rather hear about?
Kind of curious about her audition, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the first one here. Quote, George Lucas held auditions for Star Wars in an office on a lot in Hollywood. It was one of those faux Spanish cream-colored buildings from the 30s with dark orange tiled roofs and black iron-gated windows, lined with sidewalks, in turn lined with trees. Pine trees, I think they were. the sort that shed their needles generously onto the street below and interrupted by parched patches of once green lawns. Everything was a little worse for the wearer, but good things would happen in these buildings. Lives would be led, businesses would prosper, and men would attend meetings, hopeful meetings where big plans were made and ideas were proposed. But of all the meetings that had ever been held in this particular office, none of them can compare in the world impact with the casting calls for the Star Wars movie. A plaque could be placed on the outside of the building that states, "On this spot, the Star Wars films conducted their casting sessions. In this building, the actors and actresses entered and exited until only 3 remained. These 3 were the actors who ultimately played the lead parts of Han, Luke, and Leia." I've told the story of getting cast as Princess Leia many times before, in interviews, on horseback, and in cardiac units. So if you've previously heard this story before, I apologize for requiring some of your coveted store of patience. I know how closely most of us tend to hold on to whatever cache of patience we've managed to amass over a lifetime, and I appreciate your squandering of some of your cherished stash here, unquote.
She definitely doesn't take herself very seriously.
No, but she recalled really good details there.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll remember to post a link to it so you guys can read it at your leisure. Are you guys fans of Despicable Me?
I am.
Yeah. I like
Okay.
movies.
The first one took a while to warm up to me. The second one I found really funny for different reasons than the first movie. The third one, a trailer was released this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, saw it.
And it feels very different from the first two, and the villain is being played by Trey Parker of South Park fame.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. Want to see?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, I sent the video. Nice car. Fleetwood bouncing.
So many different
There's
stereotypes
Bruce
right there.
Oh yeah? Eat it. It ain't nothing.
Oh!
It's like nothing less of him.
There's Trey Parker's.
Oh, dear God.
Balthazar Brat.
Yeah.
I like the mustache. Moonwalking on
wow.
water. That mullet.
And, mullet and flat top combo.
What about that shoulder padded pantsuit he's wearing?
Oh, dear God.
That's a man wearing shoulder pads. There's only one supervillain whose fashion sense is quite that dated. Balthazar Brat.
Rubik's Cube.
And that bald spot in the back.
I know.
Wait, what did you call us? Brucey. You know, Gru and Lucy mushed together. Brucey.
I like it, but not a lot. I don't like it.
Of course he does.
They really upped the 80s spy gear for this film, it appears.
Oh, dear God. That's actually... Those spikes are kind of cool, actually.
Well, they were until she blew it up.
Hello, Gru.
Why would you float this thing over the city?
Oh, what about that?
Squirt gun.
Oh, girls. Dance fight.
Dance fight.
Oh, God, the music.
Looks like Trey Parker has something to do with the writing here. Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, and Trey Parker. Blown right into... Lost his clothes. A keytar. Right into a gum bubble. Dude,
Thank
Wedgie.
I can see this as part of his humor right here.
Oh.
Happy birthday
Oh, I'm expecting his humor to be a little more cruder this time.
No, they wouldn't let him get too far. He's working with Sony Pictures after all. This is due out June 30th, 2017. Now, we know that Hollywood has been working for a little bit on a Naruto live-action film based on the anime series about the Japanese anime ninja stories. Mm-hmm. And apparently the creator of Naruto is involved in the development of the film. Yeah, Masashi Kishimoto announced his involvement at this year's Jump Festa Expo, and even shared some pre-production images with audience members.
Ooh, please share.
I don't know. They didn't actually post the images online. It has only recently been announced that Kishimoto himself is being involved in the film.
Oh.
It's one of those stories that could make for a really interesting film, but it goes back to something I've said, is that the cultural differences don't often lend themselves to American movies.
Yeah.
So I don't quite know how this will translate. If it is a white guy cast in this role speaking English, I can almost hear the demonizing remarks coming from across the internet.
Yeah.
You know, the special effects engines that Hollywood has are up to the task, but I just don't know if this can be portrayed in a way that, one, fans would consider believable, and two, American audiences would ever understand. I'll hold out hope because I'm a fan of the series, but it's just, there's so many potential roadblocks in the way, this could be hurtful. Next up in general media news, Studio Ghibli. They are releasing a movie called Ocean Waves on December 18th at New York's IFC Center and the Los Angeles Egyptian Theater with a home video release planned for 2017. What makes this release really unique is that this movie came out way back in 1993.
Really? That old?
Yes. I don't quite know what the delay was. This originally came out in Japanese TV, and it's the first Studio Ghibli film that wasn't directed by Hayao Miyazaki, the co-founder of Ghibli. This will be the official North American release, and I have no idea what took so long. So, you know there's a bunch of purists out there and a bunch of anime nerds who just said, I already know what that is. You're just retreading old stuff. Hey, it's never come out here before.
Yeah.
You know? Every movie is someone's first movie, for crying out loud. But that's not the only Ghibli news to hit this week. A brand new film is coming out. It's based on Mary Stewart's The Little Broomstick. It's going to be called Mary and the Witch's Flower, slated for summer of 2017. This appears to be a non-Miyazaki release. However, it's very much stylized like one of his movies. Would you like to see a trailer of this new film?
Yeah, sure.
All right. There we go. I sent the video.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
The Ghibli.
That's a redhead. And a cat.
The strings.
Man, these Ghibli films always have kids with such wistful, faraway looks. Fire bad!
What the hell is that?
Nightmare dolphins. Oh, they fly! Oh my god!
That means you can't escape them. Damn it.
Look, she dropped her Pokeballs. I mean, it looks like the usual kind of imaginative Ghibli-style film. It's one of those things where it's hard for me to make a determination until I see it. So many of these things look alike, but once you actually sit down and watch the movies, they're radically different. Does anybody read the King Killer Chronicle?
No. I have heard of it.
Okay. Well, apparently the author of the series is Pat Rothfuss. He's working with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and they're making something for Lionsgate. It's supposed to be a TV/movie adaptation. And now they found the head in John Rogers, who's the creator of the Librarian series on TNT. According to Deadline, Rogers is going to write both the pilot for the show and executive produce the wider series along with Rothfuss and Miranda. The show is part of the plan for turning Rothfuss's fantasy novels into a live-action franchise. And there will be concurrent movies that will adapt the trilogy of novels, while the TV show will run a sort of expanded universe to flesh out the world. So they're running a two-pronged attack to bring the King Killer Chronicle to multimedia. Sounds like a smart idea, but it's a pretty ambitious project to dump a lot of money into when we haven't even seen the first segment of what they're proposing yet. I mean, I know Marvel has made this work pretty well for them, but they at least had a few successful movies under their belt before they said, okay, now we need a TV show.
Yeah.
In this case, they're saying we need a TV show and a movie to make all this work. I'd like to see the first one. That's all. I'd like to see the first episodes and see if I like this. Because goodness knows, I had a lot of hope when I heard the Shannara Chronicles are coming to TV. Then I found out it's going to be on MTV, and it's like, oh God, kill me now. Valiant Comics is looking to push forward with their own multimedia empire. They have signed a 5-year partnership with a mobile gaming company. Valiant has signed with Big Viking Games, who's considered a leader in HTML5 mobile instant games, cell phone games and tablet games. And the plan is they will adapt a library of more than 2,000 characters from Valiant, including Exo, Manowar, Bloodshot, Harbinger, Shadowman, Archer and Armstrong, and more, as part of a 5-year content partnership. According to Albert Lai, the CEO and co-founder of Big Viking Games, quote, "It's an honor to partner with Valiant and bring their incredibly rich and deep catalog of characters and stories to new and exciting platforms on mobile. We've always been huge fans of their comics, and the executive team has done an incredible job of bringing Valiant to the forefront of the comic world over the years. Valiant and Big Viking share very similar core ideology, which is to make fans, and I believe this partnership will make millions of new fans for both companies," unquote. I applaud the idea that Valiant is pushing to make itself more well-known outside of just hardcore comic readers, but when you say you're going to partner with a mobile game platform, all I can think is, for an extra $20, you get to play as Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah.
Not like, not like any other comics company hasn't made a game like that, but I would just kind of hope they'd be the first to just say, look, here's a game. $30, you play the whole game. God, I guess I've just reached that point where, in my day, video games didn't need DLC.
Well, it really does. There's good DLC, and then there's crap that you just know they're just farming.
Yeah, and then there's the Arkham game DLC. $20 for an extra 5 minutes of gameplay. And last up in general media news, Dungeons & Dragons has decided to do away with a staple of their books.
Okay.
They're doing away with monster boobs. Not to say there won't be female monsters, but it's kind of inarguable that in most of D&D's history, it's been a bunch of male-oriented art inside their books. The monsters tend to be more than a bit sexualized and often half naked for long periods of time.
Well, to be fair, there are quite a bit of half-naked male monsters as well.
Yeah. The creator of D&D, Gary Gygax, he was a big pulp fantasy guy, and Conan was his Bible, Conan the Barbarian. Mike Merles, the senior manager in D&D, he said, quote, "In the game's earliest years, you definitely had a sense of nudity, looking at you, topless succubus in the first edition DMG, as something that was becoming a common counterculture at the time. Dungeons aren't supposed to be for men only, and women want equality, and why not?" Unquote. He went on to say, quote, "I think there was a feedback cycle where the inner circle of fandom was mostly male. That group gave feedback on what they liked, and you had art that delivered what they wanted," unquote. Some people would look at this as just, I don't know, a watering down of D&D, but it's just making it more accessible to other genders.
I suppose. Again, I submit that there are just as many half-naked male monsters as there are female.
Yeah, but you also have to consider that there's more people who are under the age of 15 playing these games at this point.
True.
And toning it down a bit and making it more inclusive for the non-puberty set is not a horrible thing.
I don't know. To me, it's not like noteworthy news. It's not like, oh, hey, we included a new rule set, or we did we're toning down the nudity. I can't say that I care one way or the other, but it just seems like making news for making news kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now we have Marvel comic news. We'll talk about the Marvel properties that are headed for and already on comic book pages and coming to stores near you. It appears that Civil War II: The Oath may reveal a little bit about what's going to happen post-Civil War. And a lot of this is supposition based on a 5-page preview I saw that had no dialogue, but the biggest story seems to be who's going to be the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. after everything is said and done. If you've been reading the comics for a while, you know that as a result of Pleasant Hill, the penal colony that involved a sentient cosmic cube, Maria Hill's been in serious trouble. And since then, she has been running S.H.I.E.L.D., but only as a figurehead and media figure. A lot of the day-to-day operations seem to be done by Sharon Carter, Agent 13, who's return from the weird dimension that she was stuck in with Arnim Zola. And that's not a bad thing. However, it appears because of the split of the superhero community, and it looks like the government is desperate to get people to trust that things are going to be handled in a very upstanding and moral position, they decide the best person, again, from my supposition, to lead S.H.I.E.L.D. into the future will be Steve Rogers.
Oh, no.
Yes, Steve Rogers, who is still the Hail Hydra Steve Rogers. So, yes, the world is very safe.
Mm-hmm.
So S.H.I.E.L.D. is under Hydra control again.
Yep, except this time it's not as obvious. Well, actually, S.H.I.E.L.D. has never been under Hydra control. It's battled Hydra a lot in the comic books, I will say, in the comic books. And then they've been under Skrull control, technically. But Hydra itself has not been in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. so far.
Haven't they pulled some strings with S.H.I.E.L.D., though?
They've gotten some deep-seated moles, but they've never actually been in a leadership capacity within S.H.I.E.L.D. before. So this will technically be new territory in the comic books. But that's not even the worst thing that came out this week regarding the future of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What's that?
Oh, I've been reading Uncanny Avengers, and I told you guys on the drive to Las Vegas that the Hand managed to reanimate the dead corpse of Bruce Banner, make him Hulk out, and then send him into a nuclear reactor in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't tell you was what came out this week. The Uncanny Avengers were successful. Brother Voodoo managed to dispel the energy that was keeping Banner in Hulk form, and while he was down as in Banner form, still zombified no less, the Uncanny Avengers, including Rogue and the Human Torch and Deadpool and Cable, managed to knock him out. Well, now they have the body, or I should say, they have Bruce Banner's body, one of the sources of some of the most dangerous genetic material on the planet. So they decide that they can't keep it. So they call the one person they can trust to take the body.
Who?
Steve Rogers.
Oh, dear God.
So, we know for sure he's got Banner's body. We know for sure he's got Eric Selvig and Baron Zemo. We know for sure he wants to kill the Red Skull. And right now my best guess is he's going to lead S.H.I.E.L.D. in the very near future.
I swear, he's actually going to do things other villains have spent their entire careers trying to do.
Oh yeah, the world is boned.
Yeah. No, he's going to do what the leader's been trying to do for years and clone a Hulk. A real Hulk.
Oh yeah. Speaking of boned, actually, there's a very famous divorce that's going to happen pretty soon.
What does it have to do with comics?
Well, it's Marvel's first spring event, it appears.
Okay.
It's going to run through the comic books of Deadpool number 28, Deadpool Spider-Man number 15, and Deadpool and the Mercs for Money number, I think that's 9 there. I think you can see the thread running through all this.
Yeah, Deadpool. Who did Deadpool marry?
2 years ago, in a very infamous comic cover, which holds the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most comic characters on it. Spoilers.
That thing?
Yeah. He married a demon queen named Shikla. And he hasn't been with her for a while. They've still been married, but they kind of have disagreements over what role humanity has in Shikla's monster kingdom, which is underground. It appears that Shikla's finally decided that she's had enough of humanity and wants to wipe it out. Deadpool, for reasons that are his own, disagrees.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that he actually has friends he wants to keep safe. Maybe he's actually concerned about his daughter Eleanor. Maybe he's upset that there won't be any Chimichanga trucks by the time she's done. I don't know why. But Deadpool is going to do his best to stop his wife, and apparently it's not going to end well for their marriage. The storyline of this event is called Deadpool, Till Death Do Us. So...
Wow.
Yeah, we're starting
Not
hot this year, it looks
that
like.
one, are they?
No! Ladies, guess who's going to be single pretty soon?
I wonder if Death is going to get involved with this.
Dude, if she's the reason they're getting divorced, I don't even want to know, frankly. And we did talk a little bit last week about the Resurrection event, which happens in April, where the X-Men get a new status quo. They return as superheroes in the major Marvel universe. It turns out that the Inhumans are going to get a similar starting point. There's going to be a one-shot release called Inhumans Prime. It's going to kick off the Inhumans side of the Resurrection event. It's going to feature stories. It's going to feature stories drawn by Ryan Sook. The cover will be done by John Boy Myers. The one-shot's going to be written by Al Ewing. There will be stories that help set up the entirety of what's coming for the Inhumans, including the Secret Warriors, the new Inhumans in Space storylines, and Black Bolt's new status quo. I always wonder about how hard it is to write for a character like Black Bolt, because as much as he has no dialogue, how do you intone his intent when he can't speak?
Good artist.
You just want to cut that to the quick, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And last up in Marvel Comics news, I had a feeling when we were reading through the story of Resurrection and what X-Men books were coming that one or two of the existing books would still be in existence. That theory is held true. We got the cover today to all new Wolverine #1. So Laura Kinney is still in the costume, except she's not still in the costume.
Okay.
I'll send you guys the image that I found up, and you'll see it's Laura Kinney in a black and gray costume, which seems pretty similar to Wolverine's X-Force days.
Yeah.
Except, under careful scrutiny, you'll notice that her top isn't just like spandex. It appears to be a jacket of some sort. When I say
shoulder pads on it.
I don't know about shoulder pads at all. I can't say if that's like a mini capelet or a hood of some sort. But I can say that she's learned a few lessons. She's learned that she's not as durable as Logan is because, as you know, most of her bones are not coated in adamantium, just her claws.
Right.
So she's tired of knitting her brain back together, and this new costume is armored.
You say knitting her brain back together, but I don't know, a cowl? Not very armored, in my opinion.
Well, you don't know if that's just a cowl. You don't know if there's a layer underneath. In his latter days, Logan had an entirely armored costume that appeared to be skin tight. When his healing factor wasn't working?
Yeah, no, I'm... But, again, how much armor can you put in something that skin tight?
I don't know.
Well, it's
Science and Marvel.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's comics, and the Black Panther has that nifty vibranium suit.
Yeah. God, if she actually had a vibranium suit.
Oh, dear God.
Does that mean those claws would be like tuning forks? Had to ask. But it's also starting a new storyline called Immune. You can see it up underneath the #1 in the upper right-hand corner. Mm-hmm. The storyline is something from space comes down and starts an infection that has a 100% infection rate, except one person mysteriously seems to be immune to it.
Oh, surprise.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Although, considering if she's the immune character, I wonder if that means her little sister clone, Gabrielle, is also immune to what's going on.
Mm.
And I forgot to tell you that Gabrielle found a pet Wolverine of her own.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't mean Old Man Logan. I mean one of their adventures where she was following around Laura. She found an actual living Wolverine and somehow domesticated it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's a terrifying pet to have. Holy crap.
Think about the person that's raising it, for frick's sake. Her and her little pig sticker claws.
Oh, can you use better say, hey, sick 'em.
That's like the old joke about the poodle that does nothing but bite crotches. Now we have DC Comic News. This is where we talk about the other major companies and their characters and storylines coming to you now and in the near future. More than 35 years ago, one of the people we met at Great American Comic Con, Neil Adams, was responsible for one of the most infamous Superman storylines ever, Star Warriors, where Superman and Muhammad Ali boxed for the entertainment of both the people of Earth and aliens. I know, it sounds ludicrous, but it happened, it's infamous, and it's expensive to find. Now we have a new graphic novel called Harley's Little Black Book #5, where Neil Adams is recreating that cover with modern characters and pop culture celebrities in it. But Superman is not boxing like, I don't know, Manny Pacquiao or anything of that nature. No, he's boxing Harley Quinn. Apparently the aliens decided this time to get an athlete who is probably about as unpredictable as you could get. I don't I remember there was some kind of special stipulation or technology they used so that Superman and Muhammad Ali were fighting on a relatively even keel, which I don't know. Unless this is a Superman that, practiced fictional Kryptonian martial arts for years, I don't know how he's going to hang with Harley Quinn. If they're even, she's probably a better fighter and a much dirtier fighter.
Yeah.
So, where would you place your bets if you had to pick?
I don't know. Are they going to use the one that knows Kryptonian martial arts?
I don't think so. Because I don't think we're in that universe anymore.
Actually, according to the art, it's the pre-Flashpoint Superman, so this may be the guy.
Oh. Well.
Remember, the pre-Flashpoint Superman is in the current universe.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh.
Oh, see, I made you think now.
Yeah! I don't know, a good kick to the junk would probably still take him down.
Kick right into the...
If they're on even keel, yeah.
A kick right to the Kryptonites?
Yes. I'll be laughing if they have Harley Quinn say that.
Kick him right in the Kryptonite red and turn him Kryptonite blue. Oh, that hurt. I admit that. Okay, so the next story in DC Comic News actually harkens back to something we talked about a little while ago. Remember when we said that it was a little dicey to produce a Young Justice comic because those characters are not in the current Rebirth DC universe, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, it appears that DC may be beating those creators to the punch because it was recently announced that joining the current run of Teen Titans is Jackson Hyde.
Who?
This will happen in Teen Titans number 6. I can hear a little bit of confusion there. Jackson Hyde was the basis for the character in Young Justice that was known as Calderon, the Aqualad.
Oh, okay.
In DC Comics, he wasn't... I don't think he was blonde originally. He had black dreadlocks, but in the comics he started out as half Atlantean, half Black Manta's son. He was adopted by people before he knew he was any of these things, and his powers eventually developed. The Jackson Hyde that appears on the cover via the blog Multiversity Comics is very close in look to the one that was in the Young Justice cartoons. So it looks like they're keeping something similar to the original origin of this version of Aqualad. However, to keep things simple for people who are not heavy comics readers, they're adopting the look of the Young Justice Aqualad. I hope I didn't lose any of you with that.
No, I followed that.
No, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, the book, or the storyline, is going to be called The Rise of Aqualad. The solicit details are, quote, new story, new city, new member? As the team adjusts to their new lives at Titan's Tower, Damian investigates a series of strange disappearances in San Francisco. Meanwhile, Jackson Hyde heads west to fulfill his destiny and finds himself in the crosshairs of the Teen Titans, unquote. So, I don't know, does that make you more or less likely to read comics?
I'm sorry, I don't like Damian Wayne, so I will pass on this. As much as I like the character of, Aqualad, this iteration of it, I can't.
Damian Wayne is the team leader of this version of the Teen Titans. The membership is Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Kid Flash, Wally West II. If you recall, this is the cousin Wally West, not the original redheaded white Wally West.
Yeah.
It's not a bad lineup, realistically.
It is, but the convoluted nature of how they... I feel it's convoluted, but...
I think you need to give it a chance. I understand you don't like Damian Wayne as a character, but I hated Cyclops when I first started reading him. He eventually turned into something I liked.
Yeah, it did take...
Sometimes you just got to give it time and patience. Oh, it took a while. I'm not saying it was overnight. It wasn't just a case of, hey, he's smart. No, it took a long time before I started to appreciate why he was what he was.
I'll look at it. I guarantee nothing.
Yeah, I probably
didn't ask for
but
guarantees.
because I don't usually...
Don't usually what?
Read those comics.
Okay. Vertigo has announced a new 8-issue miniseries from the legacy of Luther Strode writer Justin Jordan and the artist of High Crimes, Ibrahim Mustafa. It's being called Savage Things. Savage Things is going to tell the story of a group of highly trained agents of chaos spreading destruction throughout the country, while a man named Abel, who defected from the group, tries to put a stop to their rampage. According to Jordan, quote, I've always loved spy thrillers and horror, but I haven't seen a lot that melds the two genres. We've seen in the real world how easy it is for a handful of people to bring the gears of civilization grinding to a halt by spreading shock and fear. Those are amateurs. Imagine what we get if there were a group of people, brilliant, gifted people, whose entire lives had been training them to spread fear to destabilize the society. That was horrifying to me, terrifying to me. And that's what Savage Things is about. It's about the weapons we create being turned on us, unquote. Okay, he scared me just in that fracking description. I mean, you know, Americans have been pretty lucky when it comes to acts of terrorism. A lot of them haven't hit the homeland, just kind of a broad interest. But just seeing, like, recent events like that thing in Germany and how quickly it all just, you know, it all just kind of stopped when one guy hurt dozens of people with that truck. Now imagine what happens when you have well-trained individuals, a team of individuals, trying to do the same type of items.
Yeah.
Holy cow. You know, goodness knows the guy we've got in the White House now, if a whole team of people came, he'd say he's the smartest one ever while everyone starts looking for his toupee to be on the floor. DC's Holiday Special should be coming out very soon if it's not already, and I'm not quite sure what to think about it because it has a crossover I don't know a lot of people have asked for.
What's that?
A murder needs to be solved, and Batman has to solve it alongside Detective Chimp.
But what?
Okay.
I didn't stutter. I didn't mess up those words. It's called Detective Chimp. It is a chimpanzee in a suit with a revolver.
Yeah, no, I've heard of this character. I still think it's odd.
I'd like to see him take on Hitmonkey, frankly. Let's find out who's the best simian. But
battle.
You know, but the inner monologue of this character, it sounds like a 1920s gumshoe noir detective. I don't like the cold. See, I'm a chimp. The name's Bobo, but some folks call me Detective Chimp. And the cold is one of the best reasons to live in L.A. by far, far away from here. On the other hand, bats seem to like it. Well, this bat does. Cold's normal in this city. Not that we're talking about a normal city. In this city, things here jump the rails as fast as they descend into madness. That's normal. In fact, it was just a normal night in the city, because that night was the night we saved Christmas.
And I am tuned out already.
I thought I did okay. You know, not saying
It's
that I
not
enjoyed
you.
the monologue.
It's the dialogue.
The dialogue, yeah.
You say that now. Well, watch, as soon as we hang up, it's just, God, can you believe how much that sucked? Well, it's okay. I think there's a few crossovers coming that will scratch your head even more than that one, as well as one that's oddly appropriate.
Oh?
DC is doing a new crossover between a lot of DC properties and some of the Hanna-Barbera characters that they've been working with recently.
Okay.
Hey.
Good example is Booster Gold with the Flintstones.
Well, he's kind of
Yeah,
time travel. So, alright?
Yeah, that almost makes sense. However, I'm actually very confused by the Suicide Squad meeting the Banana Splits.
Who are the Banana Splits?
What's the best way to describe it? It was a TV show back in the 70s and early 80s. Think of it like a bunch of mascot-style characters that played monkey-style music.
Okay.
Not ringing the bell.
I know, but you're teaming that up with the Suicide Squad. I don't... Let's just find out which one Croc eats first.
Amanda Waller is a fan. I don't know.
Oh, God.
But there is a crossover in the midst of all this that actually makes a lot of sense to me. The Green Lantern and Space Ghost.
Oh.
Okay.
That one makes a lot of sense. I don't even need to know what the story is, and that already sounds pretty damn cool. And I assume they mean classic Space Ghost, not the guy from Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's not the only crossover the Green Lantern is doing in the coming months. There's already been a Green Lantern Star Trek crossover. It's called the Spectrum War. where it seems like a bunch of rings from the color spectrum made it into the Star Trek universe, and the Green Lantern was hunting it down.
Right,
Well,
I got an issue of that from one of the Comic Cons we've been to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that has already occurred. There is a new crossover coming. It's called Stranger Worlds. It's going to be done by Mike Johnson, Angel Hernandez, and Alejandro Sanchez. Other members of the Green Lanterns, including Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and Kilowog, are looking for Sinestro, who ran away to the Kelvin universe.
Huh.
So while the Green Lanterns already have allies in this universe, it's still a little problematic because it looks like they came without too much preparation, so none of them have power batteries.
Oh.
Which means those rings are on a timer.
Yeah.
Are they going to put them in Starfleet uniforms?
So far, no. They were in relatively normal clothes, except Kilowog did make mention in the dialogue I saw. They kind of like this universe because their replicators actually make human clothes that fit him.
That's funny.
Apparently.
Well, if you're a fan of Wonder Woman, there's some new and probably exciting news is coming out this week. Sorry, there's a new series coming out called Odyssey of the Amazons. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the writer is Kevin Graveau, and he briefly touched upon the series. This will tell the story of a crew of Amazons as they sail from Themyscira around the world years before Diana's birth, and how the series is going to take its cues from a lot of different mythologies. According to Graveau, quote, "We were looking at the great epic poems like the Iliad, Jason and the Argonauts. What if we did something with the Amazons that had that same epic power? That's how it really started. In this one, we have essentially the origins of the Amazons, where they came from, why are there so many across the planet. One of the legends of the Amazons is that they began in the Middle East. Others have them near Greece. There was even a kind of Amazon in Africa amongst the Senegalese people. There were even Valkyries in Norse mythology. What I wanted to do was find a way to explain all these powerful women exist for a reason. The series is about these women traveling around the world and finding more of their kind, while trying to answer the question why they exist, and how they are who they are. It's very interesting," unquote.
Yeah, I admit. That does sound interesting.
You know, if they do this, it can kind of open the door for other characters that can, be mainstream alongside Wonder Woman.
Potentially, and pre-Flashpoint, there was a number of Amazon characters in DC Comics with varying degrees of success. The one that springs to mind to me is Grace Cho from The Outsiders. Always enjoyed her writing. But, at the same time, this is probably one of the biggest gaps in DC's history because there's always a bunch of mythical tales about how the Amazons came to Themyscira. It sounds like now we may actually have the story as to how they ended up there.
It might be something to pick up later.
Yeah, it's a piece of history I'd like to know, honestly. But unfortunately, the last story in DC comic news is bad news for Wonder Woman. We already talked about her losing her UN ambassadorship. Now she's losing a comic book. The Legend of Wonder Woman is being canceled. Not only that, it's being canceled after the digital first series just announced a Part 2 that was supposed to happen in 2017.
What?
Yeah. I don't know what criteria digital comics are canceled under, but the current writer, Renee DeLiz, did announce on Twitter back on December 15th that the book was canceled. She was, quote, surprised and devastated she won't be able to finish the project.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also disappointing because Legend of Wonder Woman has been pretty well critically praised by a lot of review sites. They say that this is really good writing and a lot of different versions of Wonder Woman that, while they seem disconnected, often have a larger narrative running through them, and it creates a lot of backstory for Wonder Woman. So, this could have been a number of reasons. Maybe people didn't know it exists because it was one of those things where I hadn't heard of it till we found the news on the sites. And it also could be that, unfortunately, we've also read stories where people don't really follow things that are different than their internal narratives on characters.
Yeah, well, it just kind of surprises me that they already announced a sequel, and then they're just like, oh, wait, nope.
Maybe there was a massive downshift from the time they gave her the green light to the point where, they were getting ready to come to the end of Volume 1 of this story. I mean, it's like The Walking Dead. They assumed that they were going to have 3 or 4 more seasons before they even had to think about renewing it, and now the latest season has been just dipping in ratings.
Hmm.
So, something has occurred. I don't know what, but it's always sad when the more creative stuff is the first things that get axed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, now we have general comic and convention news. This is where we talk about comics that are not Marvel or DC related, as well as conventions happening all around the world. First up, the Will Eisner Awards, which are usually announced every San Diego Comic-Con. These are the Oscars of comic books, basically. They've announced the committee of judges for the 2017 Eisner Awards, and it's a pretty varied group of people. It includes Alan Campbell, longtime member of the Comic-Con International Board of Directors, Rob Clough, a writer of comics since 2001. His criticism has appeared in the Comics Journal, Savant, Sequential, Sequart, Study Group Magazine, Cicada, TCJ.com, Foxing Quarterly, and his own blog, ILO Comics. Jamie Newbold, the owner of Southern California Comics in San Diego. Wow. Must be a pretty good owner of a comic shop to get invited to something like this.
Yeah.
Robert Moses Peasley, the Associate Professor and Chair in the Department of Journalism and Electronic Media at Texas Tech University. I wonder how you put that on a business card. Dawn Rutherford, the Teen Services Coordinator for Snow Isle Libraries in Washington State. And Martha Thomases, columnist at columnmix.com, where the title on her official business card is Media Goddess.
Huh.
The judges will meet in San Diego in April to select the nominees that will be placed on the awards ballot. The nominees will then be voted on by professionals in the comic book industry, and the results will be announced at a gala on Friday, July 21st at Comic-Con International at San Diego. I've often wanted to sit... I was going to say I've often wanted to sit down on one of those, but the Eisners tend to deal with a lot of independent books, and I just don't have a great basis of knowledge and independence. I hope I wouldn't have to dress up for something like that.
I wouldn't think so. Not in the audience.
Well, solicitations have come out for 11 of the 2017 Free Comic Book Day titles. I think that's been ballooned up to 38 recently. Free Comic Book Day is scheduled for Saturday, May 6, 2017. So far, the known solicitations are Betty and Veronica #1 by Archie Comics, Bongo Comics Free For All by Bongo Comics, Boom Studios Summer Blast by Boom Studios, James Cameron's Avatar by Dark Horse, DC Comics Gold Book, Star Trek The Next Generation Mirror Broken by IDW Publishing, I Hate Image by Image Comics. That's what they titled it. Marvel is keeping their secret, but they have announced a book. It is apparently Spider-Man oriented. Rick and Morty by Oni Press. Doctor Who by Titan Comics. Exo Manowar Special by Valiant Entertainment. And The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess and the Ocarina of Time by Viz Media. So even the manga companies are getting involved in Free Comic Book Day this year. Wow, it's going to be 32 pages, too, for that.
Damn.
Matter of fact, all these so far have been 32 pages. These are oversized books, technically. So if you're looking to get a peek into a company, that's a good time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Valiant book is teasing a line-wide change in their Free Comic Book Day special. According to the press release, quote, Valiant is proud to announce that it's joining Free Comic Book Day 2017 with the Valiant Exo Manowar FCBD Special, an all-new gold-level offering featuring exclusive stories and never-before-seen preludes to the New Year's must-read new stories with Exo Manowar, Bloodshot, Faith, Shadowman, Ninjak, Livewire, and a star-studded roster of Valiant's most formidable heroes, present and future. Unquote. So it sounds like Valiant is producing a hell of a jump-in spot for their comics. As a matter of fact, Jeff Lemire, who's working on Inhumans vs. X-Men, is going to be working on Bloodshot Salvation. It's supposed to be a new series coming in 2017. Have to see if that's any good.
Yep.
Speaking of Valiant and their changes, they say that Bloodshot Reborn Zero is what comes next and speaks to the ugly America that exists going into 2017. Jeff Lemire, who and former Wolverine artist Renato Guedes are going to bring all of the writer's stories with the character over the past 2 years in issue 25 to a close with Bloodshot Reborn #0. This book is an ending, but it's also a beginning for Bloodshot Salvation, which comes out later in the year. According to Valiant Editor-in-Chief Warren Simmons, quote, "From the Valiant to Bloodshot Reborn and Bloodshot USA, Jeff Lemire has brought a level of vision and intensity to Bloodshot that has completely redefined the character and his place as one of Valiant's most premier heroes. Now, as Bloodshot Reborn draws towards its explosive finale, we stand poised on the brink of a series of seismic changes that will defy expectations and begin the bloody road towards Bloodshot Salvation, Jeff's next major Valiant project, and a title that will have major repercussions for the Valiant universe in the weeks and months ahead," unquote. The more I hear about changes Valiant makes, the more I think I need to read their series on a regular basis. They at least try new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of trying new things, they plan on introducing their character they consider their Wonder Woman or Thor, a new goddess for their line they call the Red Legend. She's going to debut, or she did debut in December 21st, Divinity 3 Stalinverse number 1. According to Valiant's CEO and CCO Dinesh Shamdasani, quote, "The Stalinverse isn't an alternative reality. This is the Valiant universe as we now know it, and, going forward, what happens in Divinity 3 will have an immense impact on the shape of all things Valiant over the coming year. The Red Legend, in particular, will be a central piece of those plans. This is a milestone first appearance in every sense, one that I would compare to the introduction of Valiant's Wonder Woman or Thor. The insanely brilliant Matt Kint has done a masterful job crafting the creation of a new hero, chiseled from the rich and untapped mythology of traditional folklore," unquote. The design of the Red Legend definitely seems to speak to several different folklore. I sent you guys an image so you can preview, review, take a look. I mean, the Snow White hair stands out on that black outfit.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot here from various civilizations.
There's a lot of cross-cultural items for sure. The helmet and the shield seem almost Spartan in nature. The skirt seems Scottish, Highland, maybe Irish?
Celtic?
That's probably the word I'm looking for. The boots almost seem Nordic.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's that flange maze. That looks like it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's the world's most painful colonoscopy you're staring at there. It's a nice design, though. It sticks out. It's one of those characters that as soon as you're familiar with it, it'll be easy to pick her out of a lineup. Well, Comixology, the online comic sharing service. Well, not comic sharing. I should say comic viewing. It's not like it is the uTorrent of comic books. Comixology has signed a new deal with Yen Press. And this could mean big things for Comixology because the deal includes more than 1,200 Yen Press titles. They have already launched on Comixology. The titles include Akame ga Kill, Black Butler, Full Metal Alchemist, Gong, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Kingdom Hearts, Puelli Magi Madoka Magica, Soul Eater, Spice and Wolf, Sword Art Online, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and Yotsuba. That's a small sliver of what they've just gained.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
According to the CEO of Comixology and its co-founder, David Steinberger, quote, "I'm thrilled Comixology will deliver an even greater selection of fan-favorite manga like Full Metal Alchemist, Black Butler, Kingdom Hearts, and so many others from Yen Press. Yen Press is bringing a massive catalog of wide-ranging manga titles to Comixology's best-in-class shopping and reading experience, and I can't wait to dig into it," unquote. So this even includes the recent Kingdom Hearts manga, including Kingdom Hearts 2, which is the only ongoing Kingdom Hearts manga at this point, but it is also going to be on Comixology. It's a big deal being able to get not just American comics on the service, but also Japanese comics as well. I think that'll make it unique as far as what it can offer. Do services like this cut into fan subbers, do you think?
I don't know, because it's official, so I can't say that it's really a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like how Napster survived for all those years. It wasn't like Napster offered the best versions of anything. They just offered it for cheap to free.
Mm.
So a lot of people tended to stick with it until it turned to a full-blown pay service, and that's when it gradually went away. So Comixology, though, they've got a lot of different series to choose from, including some that even fansubbers are working on right now. So I guess I'm just curious if Comixology takes a big bite out of a fansubber subscriptions.
Most fan subbing is not paid for.
Okay.
Because if they start charging for those subscriptions, then they're violating copyright.
Okay. Well, Boom Studios is coming out with a new mask. You can look like a Power Ranger. This will coincide with January 18th's release of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 11. Retailers will have paper masks that allow you to look like the Black Dragon, the new Ranger we talked about a couple weeks ago while we were in Vegas. This is the Ranger that looks like a mashup of 3 of Tommy's costumes from the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series. The reason why this is occurring, though, is because the current rumor is that in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 11, they will reveal the identity of whomever the Black Ranger is. Or, I'm sorry, the Black Dragon.
Is it going to be Tommy?
If it's Tommy again, I quit.
Clone?
You know, that's already... Clone. It's Ben Reilly! And last up, IO9 and James Whitbrook has a list of what they consider to be the 20 best comics of 2016. I mean, as curious as I am, I also want to know how many of these I've read before. I'll tell you what, I will go down the list from 20 to 1. If you want me to stop and read the blurb underneath it, just tell me to read it. Okay? All right. Item number 20 on this list is the current Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series.
Really?
Yes.
What did they do that's so special?
Well, according to the blurb quote, when Boom Studios announced that they'd start making a comic based off of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's safe to say that the expectation going in was that it was going to lean heavily on 90s nostalgia and then leave it at that. But what's made Power Rangers such a great surprise is that it's risen to do more than just wink and nudge at you for remembering parts of the show that you loved as a kid. It's an update to the formula that has balanced nostalgic throwbacks with a modern approach to the characters that we loved. It's been unafraid to do things new and surprising with the Power Rangers franchise, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun while doing so, unquote. I don't know if that's enough to make me read the series, but it's nice to know that they didn't just say, people above the age of 40 will probably read it. After that, I don't care.
Yeah. They have a plan.
Yes.
Well, at least put some real thought into it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, number 19 on this list of what they consider the 20 best comics of 2016 is Future Quest.
What's Future Quest?
Future Quest was the new line of comic books that DC brought out based on Hanna-Barbera properties.
Oh, so that's like Johnny Quest?
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that. If you want me to read, fine. If not, I can go on.
Yeah, might as well read it, because...
Okay. Quote, likewise, DC's announcement of a new wave of comics based off of legendary Hanna-Barbera cartoons was met with some confusion and a little bit of derision. But the line as a whole has gone on to produce some of the weirdest and most wonderful comics we read this year. Future Quest, above all, had the hardest job of the new wave, bringing together all sorts of strange action cartoon heroes, but it's done so brilliantly, creating a whole new universe to tie disparate heroes like Space Ghost, Birdman, and Johnny Quest together, while adding layer upon layer of meaningful character development on characters that rarely got such a spotlight shown on them in the world of cartoons, unquote.
Oh, okay. So, they're bringing all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons into one universe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like their version of the Revolutionaries, Justice League, or Avengers.
Oh, okay.
Number 18 on this list is not one I've really heard of. It's called Britannia. It's a Valiant book.
Oh.
It is, according to the blurb, it's a detective story in ancient Rome. And that doesn't mean Humphrey Bogart in ancient Rome. It means that somebody during the period of ancient Rome, probably a soldier, needed to discover who committed a murder and had to investigate it with the tools he had at the time.
Well, if it's on this list, it's something special.
Yeah. James Whitbrook called it Games of Thronesian in its mixture of politics and violence with a novel approach to crime stories in a historical setting.
May that be for me.
I was kind of surprised at number 17 on this list. He listed the Black Widow.
Really?
Yeah.
Forgot she got her own book.
Yeah, if you want me to read it, I can, or I can keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, read it.
Quote, fans who have longed for a Natasha Romanoff movie in the MCU should definitely be picking up this comic, which is the next best thing. Black Widow has balanced explosive action, both in terms of fun and shocking brutality, while engaging mystery, not just for Natasha to solve, but for readers to explore her tragic, haunting past through as well. If there is ever a Black Widow movie, Marvel already has the perfect blueprint in this tense thriller, unquote.
Maybe we should read this.
It might have to be put on a list.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised that number 16 on this list is The Flintstones.
The Flintstones. What?
The Flintstones.
Okay, I'll bite.
Quote, comics in 2016 have been all about defying expectations, and one of the best examples of that has been DC Comics' take on The Flintstones. Like DC's other Hanna-Barbera creations, this has been a series that has transformed its titular characters well beyond their original cartoon roots into something completely different. Flintstones has recast itself into a postmodern commentary on the role of art, faith, commercialism, and other industries in society, told black-humored stories about politics and war, and done so while still being set in a prehistoric world where talking animals are household appliances and cars run on the power of your own 2 feet, unquote. I'm almost intrigued by the way he's described it.
Yeah.
Number 15 on this list is a sequel to a series we read before, but we haven't read this current run, of Captain America Sam Wilson.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is the Nick Spencer one. He's the guy that took over after the Hail Hydra Captain America.
Oh, okay, right.
So this is the most current, the 2016 Sam Wilson series. Let me see. Number 14 on this list is Superman American Alien.
American Alien?
We've talked about this a little bit when it was up in solicits. Quote, what is there left to be said about a hero like Superman? Well, Max Landis found a startling amount in a year that's seen a lot of big changes for Superman, both in the comics and on the big screen. American Alien told snapshots from the earliest days of Clark Kent's discovery of his powers, all the way to his decision to become the Man of Tomorrow. And while doing so, gave us a vulnerable and intriguing take on Clark Kent that succeeded in adding a warmth and humanity to the last son of Krypton in a time where other interpretations of the character are trying to do so and failing. It was a fresh reimagining of the man behind the emblem that reminded us why we still love Superman, unquote.
So he took Smallville and did it better?
Sounds pretty much like the concept. I'd have to flip through it and figure out if I like this humanizing of Superman more than I like the Truth Superman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I did enjoy Truth. Number 13 on this list, considering what we read, this is a shocker to me. Deathstroke.
No.
You remember we read 4 issues of that book and we were kind of grumbling about the whole way through?
Uh-huh.
We barely did a review because we found so few things to latch onto. Well, this is the series that came after that series. This is the one by Christopher Priest, the legendary Black Panther writer.
All right.
Quote, legendary writer Christopher Priest had been away from the monthly comic writing world for a while before Deathstroke, but you'd hardly notice given how quickly he laid the groundwork for a deep and character-driven series for Slade Wilson that dialed back some of the more anti-hero elements added to the character in recent years to give us a dark, uncompromising look at the evil that Deathstroke is capable of. It might be a strange twist to try and make a character an asshole and alienate him even further from the reader, but Priest's take on Slade has done so to remind us what a great villain Deathstroke has always been, unquote. That does sound like a little bit of what was missing from what we read in the prior Deathstroke series. He wasn't really a villain, he was just kind of caught up in stuff. Number 12 on this list, I'm not familiar with at all. Black Monday Murders.
Hey?
It's an Image comic.
Oh.
If you want me to read, fine. If not, I can go on.
No, read. I'm curious.
Okay. Quote, Jonathan Hickman's latest series for Image Comics blends noir storytelling, supernatural bleakness, and issues of power and control in modern American society, and is just as compelling when it's tackling grim, dark magic as it is with commentary on socio-economic angst. Black Monday Murders feels prescient in 2016 in the age of the 1% and all that, but where it excels the most is in its sense of mood and tone, whether it's for its gumshoe lead character or the accursed mystery he finds himself wrapped up in, unquote. I get the sentiment. Not quite my bag, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah. Me too.
Number 11 on this list was a surprise because it was a series that was canceled before it even made it to 10. Mockingbird.
Really?
It was canceled this year at its 8th issue. Remember the controversy over the T-shirt she was wearing in the final one? Ask me about my feminist agenda. Read or keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. Number 10 on this list of IO9 and James Whitbrook's top 20 comics of 2016, Midnighter and Apollo.
Huh. Was it the one we read?
No, we read Midnighter.
Oh, okay.
This is the sequel series where the two got back together, Midnighter and Apollo. Keep going?
Yes.
Okay, number 9 on this list is something I've never heard of, Ancestor.
Agreed.
Quote, originally serialized in the Island Anthology series by Brandon Graham, Image's Ancestor tells a tale of technological dependency and artificial intelligence that remains with you well after you thought you were done processing it. Mixing in a heady psychedelic aesthetic with sci-fi body horror, its sharp and prescient commentary on how we accept and rely on technology in our lives and in our societies, for better or for worse, unquote. That actually sounds intriguing.
I'll pass.
That sounds like a cerebral story. Item number 8 on this list is Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Yes or no? Quote, yes, we hear it a lot. 2016 has been the worst. But one of the brightest spots amidst all the bleakness that is complaining about the events of the year has been the wonderful, hilarious adventures of Doreen Green and her friends. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is hands down one of the funniest comics around, one that practically guarantees a chuckle, if not a full-blown belly laugh, with practically every page. It's a series that is dazzled with its wit, charm, and almost ceaseless desire to poke and prod at the superhero genre, and even the very format of comics itself, while giving us a hero in Doreen that never relents in a quest for boundless optimism, eating nuts and kicking butts. You do you, Squirrel Girl, unquote.
Word choice there.
Yeah, I've read a couple issues of it when I have time. Her friends are just as, they have just as a litter of names as she does. Her friends are the Chipmunk Hunk, Koi Boy, and I forget who the other one is.
Jeez.
I know. Item number 7 on this list is The Legend of Wonder Woman. That's the series that was just canceled. Man. I mean, I kept hearing wonderful things about it. It's just digital first series. I keep getting distracted by other websites while I'm trying to read them.
What, could you read the blurb on that?
Quote, obviously 2017 is shaping up to be a big year for Diana, but this year we got one of the best ever takes on her origins and how she grew up to become the hero we love in The Legend of Wonder Woman. Unlike so many other comics, Legend had the breathing room to spend much of its run exploring Diana's young life before she takes on the mantle of Wonder Woman and enters man's world, letting her character form and come into place. That made the moment she finally does step into the world of superheroes all the more satisfying. It nailed everything we love about this character in a wonderful framework, and the fact that we suddenly are not getting the rest of this series is one of the biggest crimes in comics this year, unquote. So it sounds like it's not even getting a tie-up story, it's just ending, like, immediately.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Item number 6 on this list is something I've wanted to read, The Black Panther. Quote, there was a lot of excitement about the news that seminal writer Ta-Nehisi Coates would be tackling the Black Panther in his own series this year, yet somehow the Black Panther pulled it off, creating one of the biggest comics of 2016. Coates, Stelfreeze, and Martin's story is deep and compelling, jam-packed with characters who are given enough time and detail that they rival T'Challa himself for some of the book's most interesting character moments, wrapped into a story that balances superhero comic extravaganzas with intriguing politics and societal discussions. The weight of expectation behind this book could have crushed even the most brilliant of series, but Black Panther stood proud as it rose above it, unquote. It sounds strong. Item number 5 on this list is something else I've been meaning to get into, Saga. That's the Image series we keep hearing about deities of good and evil creating a baby and then they get hunted. If you don't want the blurb, I can keep going. I don't know what click means.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead and read the blurb. I'm kind of curious about it.
Quote, We might not have gotten a lot of Saga this year, but what we did only served to confirm that it's still one of the best sci-fi comics around. The 6th volume came to a close this year, and yet Saga still manages to surprise us, once again by bringing it all back to the characters we care about the most, Marco, Alana, and Hazel. The nature of family has been a theme that sat at the heart of Saga throughout its long and excellent run, but it really hit home this year through some incredibly touching moments revolving around Marco and Alana's separation from their child. It's been around for so long, it's sometimes easy to forget just how compelling and brilliant Saga can be, and its 6th volume is a perfect example of that, unquote. Item number 4 on this list is a name I'm familiar with, but I forget the details of it. Monstrous.
Not heard of that.
Yeah.
Quote, dark fantasy is hot right now, but one of the best examples of it comes in the form of this lush, bleak, and fantastic Image series. On the surface, the fantasy world of Monstrous might seem grand and filled with beauty, but underneath that gorgeous sheen lies a dark heart that Liu and Takeda have brilliantly explored with frightening, enthralling abandon. Monstrous tackles some gritty, miserable situations and dark underbellies rarely acknowledged in epic fantasy stories, and the density of its world and the characters within it is so well handled that it makes for extremely rewarding reading, unquote. Item number 3 on this list is another Image series, Paper Girls.
What's that about?
Quote, as if Brian K. Vaughan wasn't already busy enchanting us with Saga, along comes an altogether different sci-fi tale for Image that is just as brilliant. Paper Girls, mixing smart, engaging coming-of-age storytelling about a group of young girls with a sci-fi mystery that hits the ground running and rarely lets up. There's always another layer, another brilliant character moment, another freaky event happening on each page that sucks you in and rarely lets you come up to breathe. If we didn't already love Paper Girls as much as Paper Girls clearly loved its 80s setting and aesthetic, the series' recently started 2nd volume transported its lead characters into a situation so wild that to spoil it here would be too cruel. But it made us fall in love with it even more. If you loved Stranger Things, you owe it to yourself to check out this series immediately, unquote. Item number 2 on this list shouldn't be a terrible surprise. Batman.
Okay.
But the question is which version, I would say, because 2016 had a few creative teams on it. Quote, Bruce Wayne has had the pleasure of not one, but 2 excellent creative teams behind him this year. But between the brilliant conclusion to Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's extensive, frequently sublime run on the character this year, and Tom King's cerebral, twisting take on Batman for DC's phenomenal Rebirth launch, it has never been a better time to be reading Batman's adventures. Both of these teams tackled meaty questions about who Bruce Wayne is as a character and what the Batman identity means to him and the wider world around him in some hugely interesting ways, and both have given us some downright amazing stories with The Dark Knight, unquote. And according to James Whitbrook and IO9, the #1 comic of 2016... Quote, I mentioned earlier that 2016 in comics has been all about defying expectation, and I can't think of another comic this year that has defied expectation more than The Vision. One of the most enthralling comics I've ever had the pleasure of reading. Since the moment began late last year, The Vision cast aside your expectation of a kooky superhero series that played off the character's cinematic debut in Age of Ultron, and instead lunged at you with a dark, tragic tale of humanity and family that happened to star synthetic androids. A Shakespearean epic in 12 parts, The Vision hooks you in with its stark, brutal art, its masterful pacing and plotting, and a gut-wrenching sense of momentum and inevitability that made reading each issue, turning each page, a daunting yet unstoppable act. From start to finish, it's a masterclass in what can be done with a character like The Vision, and the superhero genre at large, and never lets up from sinking its hooks into you, even well after you reach its final pages. It is, without a shadow of the doubt, the best comic I've read in 2016, unquote. It's a well-worded review, I'd say. You know, The Vision definitely had a lot going for it. Last up is our WTF Corner, where we find those stories from across the internet that just make you want to stand up and wonder, how have we survived frickin' 2016? Seriously. And first up is video game videos, incredible plays, unbelievable falls, and the kinds of things that just, you know, it just confuses the hell out of you in general. And first up is a Final Fantasy 15 video. 15, yeah. The brand new game. You know, there have been some bugs already that I've seen in this game. This one isn't a bug, but it got my attention. This came from the channel of user Abe Reyes, first word ABE, second word REYES. He titled his video, Don't Get Bitten.
Huh. Okay.
Usually words to live by. You'll understand. I sent the video. So there here's the main character running through a swamp.
Yeah.
Listen to the dialogue.
Combat
It's
mode.
important. Listen.
So, the moral of the story is
Oh yeah, I've fought these things.
I'm getting bitten! I just love the fact that as soon as he says, okay, so the moral of the story is don't get bitten. I've been bitten! Lesson learned. The next video is a Dishonored video. Not Dishonored 2, the original game.
Oh, okay.
This had to have been frustrating. This came from the channel of user Rui Pena. First word R-U-Y, second word P-E-N-A. I know that's a name, but it sounds like a Star Wars handle. No, Star Trek. That's right. His name is Rui Pena, and in Star Trek VI, there was the penal colony Rurapente. Haha, I figured out what it reminded me of. But the title of his Dishonored video is So Much for Not Killing Anyone.
Okay.
I sent the video.
Alright.
The hero teleports down into this building. Ah, look, a body. So he teleports back through the skylight there. And I need to get that body out of the way. So, gravity grab, come on. No, come on. There we go! Fling through the skylight and down the other skylight. Sorry! Sorry! You okay?
Uh-huh.
Come on, big fella, you okay down there? Let's go check it out. And, no, he's dead, Jim.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, that ruins that playthrough.
Yep.
Actually, he saved recently.
Oh, not getting a good ending.
Wah, wah. The next video is from a game that people have been waiting for almost a decade, The Last Guardian. God, how many stories have we heard about this game is coming out next year? No, it's not. It turned into like the annual E3 joke. It's like listening to Brett Favre's 5th retirement.
Or Half-Life 3.
Yeah. And the reviews on the game haven't been good, but an interesting video came out of it. This came from the channel of user Rebellion142. And they titled their video, Let Go.
Okay. All
Which
right.
makes it sound like the young kid in there has just got like a firm grasp of the testicles of that Guardian monster, doesn't it? Let's find out what let go means. I sent the video. That baby speak while he's holding onto the neck there. It's like up in the head of this thing. And, yeah, now he's folded into the neck just ahead of the handle. Something wrong here. And he's spinning!
Whoa.
He's flying through the air like a discus.
Apparently you were not meant to free this thing.
This boy is half helicopter. Is the monster, like, telekinetic? Did it just tell him too many times to let go of his frickin' neck? That slapping sound is getting bothersome.
Yeah. He's and the panting.
If you fling this boy hard enough into the center of the master control program, you should be able to disrupt the entire system.
He's like at the top of the cavern now.
I know. You can see him bouncing
through the wall.
Yep. He just clipped the map. Oh, he's back. He's still flinging around though, and the computer's still telling him to let go. Okay, he's drilled through the wall now.
Out the wall again. Oh, wow. Okay, he's really gone.
He looks like a kid who's just had an utter spaz attack. Wow, you can see the maze down below him. He's getting faster, too. It's getting dizzying.
It's like a pinwheel.
If he keeps going, he'll find Galactus and Eternity out here. Frick, now he looks like a swastika. He's flipping so fast. And he's making me ill. Just listen to that groaning. This is starting to sound really sick. Oh, he stopped.
Reload, man. Oh, wait, he stopped. Oh.
And he's falling into the nothingness.
The never-ending story. Oh, wait.
If he ends up back on that thing's neck and is telling you to let go again, you might as well just quit. Just right now.
Yeah.
And I see cavern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and it's done. Okay.
Okay. That roar you heard was a monster saying, now, if you don't let go when I tell you to this time. The next video is from a relatively new game called Let It Die. I think it's a multi-platform game. I don't know what it's about, but I want to say it's a survival horror game. And boy, after this, it looked like a survival horror game. This came from the channel of the user The Real Epoch Wolf. All one word. TheRealEpochWolf. He titled his video, Nightmare Fuel. Which could be a funny car for all I know, but I sent the video.
Whoa, loud! Flash of the sword.
Nice soundtrack. Okay, so we sped up here where you're trying to buy things from Bucket Hitler, I guess?
You've been through the boring stuff.
Yeah, okay. Appears to be done. Oh my god, what happened?
What the hell? Fuck!
He is floating sideways in the air with his hips pushed out and his toes above his head.
His legs bent backwards all his neck. Oh my god.
He's got crab eyes, too. This is wrong.
Not the most...
Oh my god, it's walking, I think.
Crap.
Its legs are kind of undulating, spinning. What would you call that?
I don't know. That's...
I'd say...
Revolving. Maybe that's... Oh my god, now it's running. Oh, now it looks like a mad spider. It's like a daddy longlegs going crazy.
I have to say, he aptly named this video.
I agree with the music. Let it die. Dude, with hips like that, you either have multiple sclerosis or you have a wonderful future in porn.
Oh, and then he jumps.
Jumping. The way his legs are scissoring.
He's swinging a weapon now.
This is hurting my head. And the way it seems to self-crucify like that. Yeah, the way he seems to self-crucify, it's not exactly Jack Jesus, but it is weird. Okay, what are we doing in here? Hey, we're back to what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
and
so
then the tentacle monster, yeah.
Hulu fixed everything.
Who knew that tentacle porn could save you? That was wickedly weird.
Not the most terrifying thing I've seen.
That's gonna stick with me for a while, I believe. And I have a video from Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 has some entertaining stuff. This was not a bug, this is a coincidence. This came from the channel of user Adam Heller, Heller. He titled his video, Wink.
Okay. Wink.
Wink. Let's just hope he doesn't mean buttholes. I sent the video. There you are, looking down the sniper scope.
Oh,
yeah.
Somebody saw you first.
Oh! Hit hard.
We have lost objective.
Damn.
We have a sniper battle going on here.
No, it's not much of a battle.
Not so far. Oh, he tagged something. Didn't kill it, though.
I know.
He's got a beat on it. Missed the shot. No. Oh, he's been hit!
Oh, wow.
Player, you failed me! The way the character was looking right back down at you after its death was a little creepy.
Yeah.
And how would you like an Overwatch video?
Sure. Okay. Those are always fun.
Yeah, this came from the channel of the user Itsfect, ITSFECT, all one word. And you'll have to excuse my vernacular, but this is the title. The title of this video is Fuck Your Push.
Okay.
I know. Just blatant there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I sent the video. You play as Tracer.
Yeah.
Oh my
Running
god.
through the Japanese tower.
Picked off like that.
Hit it upstairs.
Shut up.
Look at this. Hop over here, up, and here comes Reinhardt leading out his team, and you drop your bomb. Boom!
Oh my god.
5 players and 1 bomb. Hey look, Strack guy.
You're welcome, guys.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Wow. He earned that ego. He earned that ego.
Yeah, he teabagged a little bit in that video, and you can't say it wasn't earned, man. He got just about everybody. And last up, I have a Titanfall 2 video.
Okay.
This came from the channel of user Stim Taters. First word STIM, second word TATERZ. He titled his video Eject Crabber Goose EXO 111616.
Okay.
I know half of those words don't seem to make sense. A goose is when you manage to really nail somebody after an ejection, when you eject out of a mech.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like it's much special because we've seen a few videos where people like eject out and they hit them with grappling hooks and like sidekick them in the air, or in the case of that one video, drag the man out of the window, right?
Yeah.
This is an extremely different kind of goose. I sent the video. There you are in a mech. It's just been driven critical. You eject.
Okay, eject.
Hit the marker so you stealth.
Oh, it's an
and
epilogue.
Sniper rifle. Gotcha!
Oh my god!
Oh, hit another ejected pilot out of the air with one bullet.
While you're falling and he's falling.
Yep.
All right,
Wow.
that was Hollywood magic right there.
Yeah, that was either a well-timed shot or you have an aimbot. Either way, that's golf clap worthy. I mean, shoot, man.
Damn.
Further on in WTF, I'm not a fan of gingerbread houses. Being a heavy person, that always seems like just kind of, it seems like what you do to a dog when you put a biscuit on his nose and tell him not to move. You're telling me not to eat this thing, but it's totally edible, right? Well, somebody came up with a gingerbread object I can't eat.
Okay.
I know, it sounds impossible to you, but there was one person who decided not to make a gingerbread house. He made a gingerbread starship. Take a look at this. Somebody recreated one of the multiple times the Enterprise has been destroyed in the course of films and TV.
No.
Oh, I see.
Oh, complete with the smoke. Yeah, I have seen this as well. This is
Yeah.
well done.
Cotton candy clouds, and there the saucer section halfway into those clouds. It's a little sad, but at the same time, that is much awesome.
And then the little gingerbread Starfleet communicator symbols.
Yeah, this was put on Reddit by user eJustice. And, those clouds are made of cotton candy. So even the smoke is edible.
So, rip off in the cell and just snack away. I mean, it's a down ship.
If you rip off a nacelle, you better eject that warp core before he shoves his dilithium down your throat. But thankfully, sometimes in WTF, we get to talk about happy things as well. There is a kid who used to go to the Best Buy in Valley Stream, New York, almost daily. And he would sit down at the Wii U machine and play Smash Brothers. And when I say Wii U, he would sit at the store display, and apparently he was there so often that the workers recognized him. But they were nice enough not to kick him out. He just came, he was very polite, he played, he left. He never got into trouble, he never stole anything. So the Best Buy employees decided to do something super nice for the kid. They bought him a Wii U for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
While he was sitting at the kiosk, they presented him with the Wii U. And somebody took a cell phone video. I will share it with you. It's on YouTube. But I will warn you ahead of time that this is a black teenager, like older teen. And you can tell by the way he reacted when they presented it to him that he sat there with an expression at first that just said, "What's the joke?"
Yeah, where's the trap?
Yeah, and when they said, "You could take this home," he looks at him with that expression that just says, "You're going to accuse me of stealing this, aren't you?" It takes a little patience. You'll see him crack and finally understand that he is a very lucky guy. But, all I can say is don't misjudge his lack of response for, not being gracious or not appreciating the gift. He just doesn't quite know what to do with it, I sent the video. Hey, look, feet.
Yeah.
They look blue.
Bunch of Best Buy people.
Okay. Somebody's grabbing their cell phone. And look at this guy. He's like, why are you staring at me?
Uh-huh. Yep.
They're going to kick my ass out of here.
On behalf of all of us here at Best Buy, we got you a Wii U, so you don't have to come here every day and play.
He just said, we got you a Wii U. Look at his face. He wants to smile, but he's suspicious.
I would be too.
I can't blame him. That's not exactly something you expect somebody that works in the store to say. Here's your Wii U.
I didn't buy this. You're giving it to the wrong person.
There we go. He's chuckling a little.
Yeah.
He wants to believe it. You can see it on his face, but he can't.
Oh, yeah.
He's still thinking. Look at that expression.
He's just like...
This is a joke.
Yeah, look at this. The guy even says, "Look, I'll even walk outside with you." The poor kid wants to believe it so badly, but he just doesn't want to be one of those people that's accused of stealing something he never touched. The poor guy. He did eventually leave with it, though. You know, there's part of me that says that is a wonderful thing to do for a guy, but there's that small voice in the back of my head going, "You assholes couldn't get him a Switch?" You know, I mean, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. They gave him a free video game system, but they gave him a system that in the next, 7 months is going to be worth almost nothing. You know? I'm sorry to throw a little bit of humbug in it, but it's just the way my brain works.
Okay, Scrooge.
Yeah. Hey, at least I get to be David Tennant, so shut up. We've talked before about Japan. It seems to have a regular amount of WTFs every week lately. This one stuck out at me. How difficult do you think it is to remove a girl's clothes?
I don't know.
I don't think it should be too terribly difficult.
Okay, see, this is one of those things that tells me where things stand in Japan and how much they really want the birth rate to improve. There's an actual otaku book that has been released on how to undress a girl. And not in that tentacle rapey fashion. What I mean is somebody actually put together a how-to book on, if you're in a romantic situation with a girl, how to remove their clothes. I mean, I am not the smoothest guy. I can tell you that I've had a couple girls give me attention, great. But I will say, it's a bra clasp, not a Rubik's Cube. This should not be necessary.
If you're stuck, have her do it.
I know. Just talk real kindly. They'll probably help you through it. You know, it sounds like a game of Simon somehow is less complicated than a girl's clothes in Japan. Oh my gosh. If you guys have anything to add, great, but I saw that and just said, have things really progressed to this point?
I just don't even...
I mean, I'm trying to imagine a bunch of, Japanese otaku sitting in front of girls just going, I keep trying to hit A, but the clothes just stay on her. I don't know what's wrong.
Jeez.
And there was another Japanese WTF. And I want you... I want you guys to try and guess what happened based on the line that this person used in the story. The quote is... I wanted to smell them.
What?
There was a man who was caught up in a sting by Kyoto police, and they caught him, and his reason for doing it was, quote, I wanted to smell them.
What, shoes?
Got it in one. This man stole shoes.
Oh,
wait. What, I was joking. What the? I was joking.
It gets better. The man is 45 years old. They haven't identified him by name. They caught him trespassing in a middle school. It's not clear whether or not he was actively tackling girls and taking the shoes off their feet or jumping into their lockers and taking their casual shoes during the school day. However, considering I'm going to assume it's the latter since they didn't seem to have a whole lot of information on this guy prior. After they caught the guy trespassing, they went to his house and they discovered a collection of stolen footwear neatly arranged in a plastic display case.
Display case?
Display case. I'd like to know what goes on in Japanese police, because this man apparently has been stealing shoes for 2 complete years.
I want to know what is wrong with his head.
I don't know, man. I mean, considering you can buy used underwear in Japan, there's got to be a place you can buy used shoes. You shouldn't have to go this far. It's creepy. That's all I can say. It's creepy as all hell. There are some lawyers who are in trouble. I know that's not the first time anyone's ever heard that particular statement. But right now, there are lawyers who are accused of extorting $6 million from porn pirates. That whole
Okay.
sentence should not make sense altogether, but somehow it does. And it turned out to be a pretty elaborate scam. Now, the two lawyers in question are Mr. Paul Hansmeyer and John Steele, which sound like 90s lawyers who solve crime by night.
Yeah.
They're accused of running a scam where they took advantage of the copyright system. What they did was, allegedly, the two of them bought the copyrights to various porn movies through shell corporations, and then uploaded the videos to file-sharing sites like the Pirate Bay.
Okay.
Okay, so then they would find out who downloaded the videos they uploaded, and then they would pursue copyright infringement suits against those downloaders in order to obtain their names. Once they had the names, they would pressure the downloaders to settle for an average cost of about $4,000 per case, which led up to the 6 million number. Now, if they had filed these in court, they could have gotten up to $150,000, and some people, as they tried to challenge the supposed settlements, is when the cases went entirely away. So apparently they even went so far as to make original porn movies, upload them, and then chase down the people who downloaded those.
Yeah, but I don't think they lose their copyright once they upload in such a manner.
That was the thing I argued. On IO9, a bunch of people said, well, they basically didn't break the law, but technically they did, because you can't claim copyright on something when the people who own the rights to the videos are the ones who put them up for public sharing. You know, it's like if you went to a concert, you know, you saw signs everywhere that said, free concert, come listen to the music, free concert. And as soon as they play the set is when they suddenly say, and now you can't leave unless you pay me $500 for the show. That's not how it works.
Yeah. No.
So, you know, these guys definitely broke a number of laws as soon as they extorted money from people who, since they were the ones who uploaded the video, the owners of the copyrights, technically, legally downloaded these videos.
For free.
Mm-hmm. Right now, the two lawyers face 18 charges for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and mail fraud, substantive wire fraud and mail fraud, concealment of money laundering, and conspiracy to commit and suborn perjury.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be lawyers for much longer.
I think they'll be there for a little while longer. They got to get through the actual trial now.
No, once that's over, they're done.
Maybe they'll represent each other. However, there was another guy who technically got away with major crime. We just talked about two guys who were accused of extorting $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man who was convicted of taking $1.3 million from a bank. And he got away with it. I want you to process that. He was convicted of taking the money, but he was still allowed to get away with it.
How did he pull that off?
Okay, well, first of all, the man's name is Luke Moore. He sounds like a comic book superhero. Luke Moore. In 2010, he was a broke law student, and he was getting government benefits in Australia, the country he's from. Now, in Australia, when you apply for government benefits, what they do is they give you a bank card, and they allow you to overdraft your account up to a certain amount. Okay?
Okay.
And I don't know what the limit on such an account is, but apparently after hitting $9,000 worth of overdraft withdrawals, Mr. Moore found out they were still letting him take money out. And he realized the bank never stopped him from taking out cash. So what he would do is he would take the money from the St. George Bank he had and put it into other banks. He used the money to travel the world, hit Playboy hotspots like Thailand and the Australian Gold Coast. He bought an Aston Martin, a Maserati, and a Hyundai. One of those things is not like the other. A speedboat, a Michael Jordan signed jersey, and some art by the infamous Banksy. He also took care of, regular things like insurance and paying his mortgage. So 2 years after this whole thing started, that's when the bank finally noticed this guy's taking out $1.3 frickin' million. So Moore went to court over it, and he was eventually sentenced to a maximum of 4.5 years for obtaining financial advantage by deception and 3 years for dealing with proceeds of a crime to be served concurrently. So for the two combined, you'd only have to serve the maximum of 4.5 years.
Right.
He spent 5 months in jail. And he wasn't let out. No, it wasn't for good behavior. Back on December 1st, an appeals court overturned his conviction because they found he, quote, had not been deceptive, unquote. In other words, he wasn't taking the money and hiding it. He just took what it seemed like the bank was giving him and took it to other banks. It's not like he went in with a mask and a fake ID. He just took the money they allowed him to take.
Huh.
And because the bank made no effort to stop him and he never tried to mislead them, they ruled he wasn't a criminal and set him free. Of course, he had to pay back the money.
Right.
Today, he drives an $800 car and lives with his mother. He had to give back everything he bought. And he told the Daily Telegraph he does not miss the high life, except for the, quote, cocaine, strippers, and fast cars, unquote. Go figure. And last up, we usually end with out of context D&D quotes, but I thought because this is a different type of show where we're ending the year during the holiday season, I'd end it with a downer of a holiday story, and that is Chase Holfelder. You guys remember that name?
No. Mm-mm.
Chase Holfelder is what they call the master of the minor key. He's the one that turned Disney songs into rape anthems.
You bastard.
No.
Yes. He decided to do a low-key version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. He's transformed so many pieces of pop music before. I was curious what he'd do with this holiday favorite.
You bastard.
I know, and that's why I sent the video, you prick.
Have yourself
wow.
a merry little Christmas.
This is dour.
Let your heart
This sounds like it should have played at the end of a Pinky and the Brain Christmas special.
from now on, your troubles will be out of sight.
This imagery, man, it's like Grandma's hitting the Glenn Gooley for the 5th time, and Grandpa's been in the garage for the last half hour with the door closed and the car running.
Have yourself
Oh, man.
a merry little Christmas night.
Oh, okay, so now we've got the full instrumental going.
Almost something you put to a huge anime action scene where everyone dies.
The plane is nosing into the airport. Oh, it's Die Hard 2, okay.
No, I'm thinking Cowboy Bebop. At the very end.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yule
This is depressing, and I hate you.
I'm amazed at his talent. He's managed to transform a lot of music I've never thought about in this way before. I say that sincerely. I'm not saying this is uplifting to me.
It's good, but still depressing as hell.
have yourself a merry little
All of a sudden, I'm reminded of the scene where Heathcliff stabbed Asuna through the chest.
Oh God, the Christmas special for SAO.
Actually, that's perfect. Yeah, that gigantic fat Santa Claus with the non-synchronous eyes after Sachi died.
Yeah.
You can make a music video out of that to this.
Hey, all you guys listening, do it. I know you guys see SAO Sword Art Online, but just do it.
If you close your eyes and listen to music, you can almost see Hans Gruber fall off the side of Nakatomi Plaza.
be together. And if the fates allow, hang your shining.
I don't know if it bothers me so much that he's singing the song, but he's smiling half the time he's doing this. Does he know what he's doing?
I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing.
We're gonna bum out a whole new era of Americans.
Have yourself a merry little
You know what you should do, Jeremy?
Huh.
Play this over the PA at your office.
Yeah, that's great. I work for a Jew. That'll go over well.
That's a grand ending, too.
It sounds like you should be drowning puppies or something. roasting Big Bird on a spit. Oh, no, you can get it on iTunes and Google Play if you really want to depress your family this Christmas.
And now your white Christmas is red.
I'll tell you what, I will give you 2 D&D quotes just to soothe your fears a little bit.
Okay.
One is, who needs a key when you have a crossbow?
Huh.
I don't quite know how well you can open a door with that. And the other quote, the dog is indeed judging you. Oh, wow, okay, there's one more here that's actually pretty notable.
All right.
She's not my girlfriend. She tried to exchange me for pretzels at the last shop. Wow, she just doesn't like you. You know, doesn't matter if you're the Black Swordsman or not. If there are pretzels, she's getting pretzels. The subject of this week is Batman 1 through 6, the Rebirth era by Tom King. This is kind of an interesting take on Batman. The art was done by David Finch, the inks were done by Matt Banning, the colors were by Jordi Beyer, and the letters were by John Workman. This appears to be the story of... Actually, I don't even know how to categorize it, because the primary story is Batman discovering that there's 2 potentially Kryptonian-level heroes living in Gotham, who introduce themselves to him in a very dramatic and almost Kryptonian fashion, frankly.
Like saving an airplane.
Yeah, and that was what kind of caught me about the first issue. Did anybody else look at that first page and think, hey, look, there's Tim Drake on...
I did think that, but I'll be honest, I was just looking at that first line in dialogue. It says, ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our final descent into Gotham. I'm like, oh, goddamn, he's doing it again.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised there isn't, every time a pilot lands a plane in Gotham, he just says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hell.
You might as well say that.
But, I mean, it took me a moment, because then I thought, okay, this isn't Tim Drake. This is just his latest adoption.
Oh,
we gotta swap out the dog food bowls.
Was this 5 or 6?
It would be 5, I believe.
Damn.
If you count Stephanie Brown, yeah, this would be number 5. No, he'd be 6, actually. Brown would be, Damian would be number 5, Brown would be number 4. Why do I know this much about Batman's adoption history? Wow. Okay.
Heckling material.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first issue revolves around somebody who's stolen a Stinger missile and fired it at a plane, to which Batman is responding to. It doesn't sound like a huge deal, except saving a plane full of people that are crashing is not really in Batman's wheelhouse.
No. That's usually beyond the scope of what he's capable of doing.
Just about any other Justice Leaguer could respond to that fairly well, but it's not something he's ever really prepared for, which sounds odd considering the things that Batman has prepared for. You know, like, this is one of the few things he just never thought he'd be dealing with. I did like the role that Duke Thomas showed off through the series. We've talked about how he's not supposed to be a Robin, he's something else. He occasionally puts on a yellow suit when he's in the field, but he still doesn't have a code name as far as I know. And he just seems to be functioning as Bruce Wayne's primary data analyst at this point.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I guess the moves that Batman pulled off in this first issue to save the plane, they bothered me to certain degrees.
Yeah.
Not because there were a couple that weren't outside the realm of possibility, but there was a couple that very much seemed to be... It required more than a lifetime of training. Let's put it that way.
Not to mention just breaks physics.
Well, I mean, when he drove the Batmobile off a bridge so he could get the perfect arc on his ejector seat, then at the apparent height of that arc, he unbuckled the seat, reached underneath, grabbed the 2 engines of the seat, then did a controlled fall onto the back of this nearly uncontrollable airplane. It's a little much. You know, there are characters with superpowers that can't pull off something that weird.
Well, and then how he maneuvered around the plane, just...
I'm with you on that. The way he hung onto the underside of the plane by jamming a Batarang into the wing so he could affix one of the ejector seat's engines, The unfortunate thing is, while that's a very interesting visual, and I'm willing to give allowances for comic books. You know, the whole thing where he's sliding down the side of a wing, not necessarily possible, but feasible. Let me put it that way. But when he just hit a Batarang under the wing and used that as a handle to hang underneath, that was a little too much for me.
Yeah, well, riding the plane on the roof of the plane.
When he affixed the straps?
Yes.
Where did he get those from, anyway? Were those just a pair of grapple guns, or?
I guess. I don't know. But you can't ride a plane like that.
Not reasonably. I wonder about his microphone setup, because he was talking to Alfred to control the thrust of the two engines to maneuver the plane. But, I mean, people who are just skydiving can't generally talk to each other. So I wonder about the microphones he was supposedly using. How would he hear under the stress of all that wind shear?
Could be something strapped to his throat, actually.
Oh, I'm not talking about how he was able to talk. I'm talking about how he was able to hear.
I think the cow provides adequate protection.
If he can talk to other people, then that means sound comes through it pretty simply.
Well, he's got the radios in his ear. Yeah, but he would be going deaf over that after a while. It's the same reason why they don't allow you to wear headphones and whatnot in loud work environments. You have to wear your earplugs. Actually, there would be two forces working against him, because he wouldn't just be working against the wind shear, he'd be working against the sound of two jet engines as well. Yeah. Which is louder than concerts in general. Yeah, there were things that bugged me in this first issue, but you know, I just kind of look at it as it's Batman. But I adored the passenger. Lots of things. I adored the passenger who was having a mental breakdown in the midst of all this. I ignored him. Oh, dude, I thought he was like a narrative on just about every reason we talked about not to go to Gotham. You know, this is Gotham. Gotham's killing us. Any other damn city, Superman or Lantern or whoever, somebody be flying to catch us. But no, we're in Gotham. Who's going to catch you in Gotham? And it's our fault. It's all our fault. What are we? Jokers and Riddlers, and Penguins. The city. You get the hero you deserve, you know? And what do we deserve? You deserve to shut the fuck up. But towards the end of the issue, I mean, when Batman was talking to Alfred about whether or not this was a good death, that was one of the better moments in this issue, man, because he saw the end coming and he saw the inevitability of it, but he wasn't willing to give up. That's admirable. Yeah. But, you know, none of the other Justice Leaguers could respond. They were all busy, so he was convinced, this is it. This is where I check out. Which is got to be kind of a relief for somebody like Bruce Wayne. He can finally stop this endless nightmare, but is also, I guess it'd also be one of those moments where you're staring at it just going, laughing gas bombs, endless jokes throughout the city, dude broke my back, and it's a frickin' plane.
At least he's going out with a bang.
Why, Harley Quinn is here? But at the last second, the plane suddenly edges up from the water and just is kind of calmly set down on it.
Yeah, I was a bit confused by that. I guess I didn't see the actual extra scribbles underneath the aircraft.
Yeah, if you take a good look, there's two figures underneath holding up the plane. Although, you know, Batman talking at like half his normal volume just going, Clark? You know, this would have been one of those moments where you needed Kevin Smith, because if people thought it was weird or mean that he peed his pants in other adventures, this is appropriate time to wet your tights.
It's not often he gets surprised by anything, so...
He would have been well-deserved of pants wetting at this point. You know, just about most human beings would have done it. But this is how we're introduced to the heroes of Gotham, not the city, the character, Gotham, and Gotham Girl.
Their outfits are very, I would say, not retro. Retro's not the right word for this. Like,
they look like gothic Nazi Superman and Supergirl.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be cruel or denigrating, but I'm serious. They have these very gothic costumes that have very military sorts of designs. Not symbolism, but designs.
It reminds me of like World War I uniforms.
Yeah.
Like,
But you can
for
also
the
see-
Rocketeer.
You can also see how unsubtle they are about their power levels, too, because while they have G's for their primary symbol, they're stuck in these chevrons that are very reminiscent of Superman's shape.
Mm-hmm.
So the design of the characters was very much to tell you, yes, they are that strong.
The similarities are not accidental.
We control the horizontal. Issue 2 was a little bit odd for me because it was the first real issue where you had a chance to see what Gotham and Gotham Girl are capable of. And it was kind of weird watching him get slapped around by Solomon Grundy. And I do mean slapped around.
Yeah. Tossed into the statue.
Yeah, but unfortunately this issue had another one of those things that was kind of glaring to me in that Gotham and Grundy were fighting in a park. Gotham was following Grundy through a park, and Batman is waiting on the one place that's billowing steam in the park.
You know, I didn't have as much problem with that. I had more problems with him holding Grundy down after he tossed him.
That was also odd. It's not necessarily unprecedented, but after the way he ran through Gotham like a wrecking ball, then it took one modified judo toss and a foot on the throat, and Grundy just stops moving.
Yeah. The whole judo toss, I could give it to him. That's what the martial arts is all about. Is this moving people around with using their own force. It's him holding him down by his neck that's like bothered me.
Well, the modified judo toss also bothered me because judo involves counterweights, and it's kind of hard to say he counterweighted him when Batman lifted him up with one arm in an overhead arc. That would make Triple H blush.
I suppose.
But, yeah, the foot on the throat was interesting. I did like that Batman was trying to make it a teachable lesson. You know, in that if he hadn't stepped in, you know, Grundy would have run over a poor homeless guy who was just on that path.
Mm.
But the art direction, I guess, was one of my serious problems with this particular story arc. I mean, when Batman is trying to tell him something, he grapple guns away. The particular angle he's grapple gunning, it looks like there's nothing in the sky over the park, but he's latched something.
Actually, I think he latched to that train.
Eventually, I understand it's in the future panels where he swings onto the train, but if you just take a look, there's nothing out there but red sky and a bridge in the distance, the way it's drawn.
It's a bad perspective, I guess. But
yeah, it's like Spider-Man in the 70s when he's swinging over country roads, and he's hitting something with those webs.
Yeah.
But I do understand why Bruce Wayne would have been curious and trying to make allies out of something that strong. I guess they didn't focus enough on it for me, or 6 issues didn't really seem like enough time to tell this story.
Yeah, it could have done with at least one more.
Well, especially with the weird breaks that happened at several points through the story where different characters killed themselves before talking about the monster men coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I know from the solicits we read later that it was a one-off in several Batman books of a conjoined story where people were turned into monsters. But in the context of this, it was like they were trying to present a mystery that never really came to light during these 6 issues.
Yeah, right. I think that's a problem with trying to tell a story in the middle of a series, company-wide arc.
In the middle of a story that never has a definitive ending, I assume you mean.
No, I mean like a company-wide arc. Like, we ran the same problem with Captain America.
Right. Okay. And I was also kind of surprised that by issue 2, Batman was already introducing Gotham and Gotham Girl to Commissioner Gordon.
Right.
I would have thought there had been more interaction before he would trust him with so heavy of a secret as to who his police contact is.
Well, even Alfred kind of called him on it, and he's just like, they already know about Gordon. It's like, really? How do you know?
Well, actually, I guess in retrospect it makes more sense, because if he thinks he's dealing with something of Kryptonian-level abilities, they should be able to hear half of what goes on in the city anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't be that much of a surprise.
Except Batman still does his disappearing act on them.
I know. And at the end of the issue, we find out that the person who fired the missile is Hugo Strange, and he is giving therapy to the Psycho Pirate under the watch of Amanda Waller.
Is Psycho Pirate like a new character or something from the annals of history?
Psycho Pirate has been there since before the Crisis on Infinite Earth, if that tells you anything. That means he was there in the 70s. But the Psycho Pirate has two things going for him. One, he has a mask, a golden mask, that allows him to control emotions on a very, very delicate level. If he wants you to feel angry, you're angry. If he wants you to feel frightened, you're frightened. If he wants you to feel happy, you're happy. But unfortunately, that comes with a price of it also works on him.
Oh.
If he feels happy, he feels joyous. If he feels sad, he feels, like, suicidal. But this whole thing came with another side effect, in that the Psycho Pirate remembers the past versions of DC continuity.
What?
He remembers everything. No matter how the universes change, he remembers all the prior universes.
Huh.
So if being able to jack with your own emotions isn't confusing enough, he has all these memories on top of it, half of which probably don't make sense, and since he's always an emotional wreck, who's going to believe him when he talks about it?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how weird his existence is. Issue 3. Issue 3 was where it felt like things started to come together to me, when they told a very quick version of the origin of Gotham himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
I almost thought that they were doing another telling of Batman. I was like,
that's what it looked like.
Serious.
The first 3 pages look like, okay, we're going to see Tom and Martha get shot again, but that's when Batman swings in the midst of it all and beats up the guy with the gun, to which I'm sure most people are going, the blue hell just happened. Did he just go back in time and save himself? He's not Barry Allen.
He's gone back in time before.
I know, Batman Pirate and Batman Through Time is a time bomb and all the apocalypse stuff, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. It really hurts my head. But, the parents of the people that are soon to be Gotham and Gotham Girl are talking about paying what they thought was a ransom way back when, and then their kids come back healthy and okay, and at the same time, 2 new heroes start flying around Gotham. Not too hard to figure out.
Yeah, at least they're not dumb.
True. It's not like the usual level of intelligence of, hey, our kids are back. Look up in the sky. I don't know how they got here so quickly. But it was a little bit of a clue to me when they were talking to Agent Malone of the FBI.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, I know who you are.
That's one thing that's bothered me the more I learn about it, in that I understand that Batman early on took over the identity of Matches Malone when he accidentally died. I get it. And that is like his go-to disguise. But at the same time, does every time he's in disguise he has to be Matches Malone? Can't he have like 2 or 3 identities?
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. He's had time to make something or accidentally kill a few more gangsters at any rate.
My problem with this issue was right after that, with the car and the motorcycle.
The car and the... Oh! Okay.
And not even that the motorcycle was hidden inside the car. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, and just to be clear for people who are listening, you're talking about the fact that Batman got into, or Bruce Wayne, disguised as Matches Malone, got into a car that looked like a 4-door Mercedes, and then not too long after it starts driving out of the driveway of this very rich family is when it pops open and there's Batman on a motorcycle.
And then the car puts itself back together.
Which part of that did you have an issue with?
It put itself back together.
Wow.
That's just not possible.
I had issues with that scene on the other side, because the way it put itself back together, it's unlikely, but considering gyroscopes today, it's feasible to me.
Yeah.
I more or less...
reverse motion with an explosion or whatever caused it to separate, but to then come back together... Not to mention sitting on the wheels like that to come back to...
I never considered that an explosion. I thought those were pneumatics releasing. But
that's still an explosion of air.
I know, but there's self-balancing unicycles these days. This car is well within capability.
Okay, but
the
no
motorcycle
impetus,
seems to be...
and it just goes back together, and no.
To me, I was more bothered by the fact that, one, the motorcycle is about the same size as the car for some reason.
Yeah.
And two, the fact that he got into this, and it looks like 2 minutes later, he's on the road in full costume. I mean,
Superman's got nothing on Batman.
I know, one extra panel of him just pulling on a cowl while he's talking to Alfred before he launches this thing would have helped me immensely get through that scene. But there's just these little bits of... And again, I'm not saying Dave Finch did a bad job on art. His art's pretty good. It just seems like the art direction is lacking a little bit. There's a couple key items that could have helped smooth this story out.
Yeah, I don't know. It just...
I mean, the scene of Gotham holding up that collapsing bridge was pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, no, that was good. It just, certain story elements just kind of pulled me out.
I don't know. I mean, listening to Gordon and whatnot, it seems like they're full on embellishing the idea that Batman can do damn near anything, and I think they're really exercising this idea of the rule of cool. That was kind of cool, but yeah, I totally agree with you guys. It's kind of stretching a lot.
It's one of those things where it doesn't stretch it to break, but it stretches it far enough where you have to take another look, and then it doesn't stand up to extra scrutiny, is the problem. If you're just reading it through and reading the dialogue and not paying a terrible amount of attention, it's not that bad. But unfortunately, part of what we do is a full review, so we have to pay attention to the details.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that just immediately jumps out to me.
Yeah. Well, at the end of issue 3, Gotham and Gotham Girl fly face first, almost literally, into the Psycho Pirate.
Right, which you knew was not going to end well.
Of course not. And the 4th issue is where things started to actually get frightening in the story, which is where Tom King is at his best. I mean, the first couple of pages when Batman is wandering through the carnage of what's left behind, Gotham left his signature and Gotham Girl is just kneeling in the middle of all this, or sitting, I should say, in a fetal position, weeping.
Talking about how afraid she is.
Yeah. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Which, coming from a character who you've seen is damn near Kryptonian level, is an extremely frightening proposition. And then they took her back to the Batcave, and she sits on the medical bay just screaming occasionally. And you gotta hand it to Duke Thomas, man. The balls on this guy to hug this girl, who, while she's afraid, could accidentally snap this rabbit, just like Lenny always did in the books.
Given what we know in the future and how their power levels gauge, I don't think he was really in any real danger.
I think he was in extreme danger.
Yeah, I mean, yes, their powers adjust to the situation, but there's no indication that is, not at least partially
reflexive.
Yeah.
Or instinctive, even. It's like when some people get scared, they have the ability to suddenly move vehicles off of other people because they want to save their lives. It's the same proposition here. She's so scared, she might accidentally crush his face just by touching his cheek.
Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that.
And meanwhile, while she's under the fear section of the Psycho Pirate's powers, Gotham is working on his anger.
Which didn't come through for me right away. It basically took Bruce going, okay, you're angry, and it's just like, oh, okay, he's angry.
This could be the disadvantage of a bunch of characters who work in full cowls, because, when somebody's outright angry, it comes through pretty easily, but when someone's seething underneath and you can't see 3/4 of their face, it doesn't come through as well. And it did take a while before he understood that what was going on was anger, because during the first few pages, it looked like it could have just been empathy or maybe sorrow. Like his mission just wasn't going where he expected it to, even disappointment.
Right. Although, when you first catch up to him, he's standing there over his parents' dead bodies, and you're just like, oh, crap.
Yeah, that was late in the issue. And when Gotham just snapped that guy's neck right in front of him, like he was opening a goddamn bottle of Coors Light.
You know what? I had no sympathy for that guy that was killed, though.
I'm not talking about sympathy. I'm just talking about how casual it was. You know, he snapped that man's neck like most people are saying, "Hey, would you like a Fanta?"
Yeah. I mean, that's his power levels, so...
And issue 5 was almost anticlimactic, it seemed like. It felt like they were building up to something really powerful here. A very powerful superhero who was off his nut. The one person in town that could take him on a one-on-one basis was, you know, scared out of her mind. And all that's left is Batman. And a lot of people would say, well, he's taken on Superman in one. Yeah, but this guy doesn't have a kryptonite.
Yeah.
Gotham doesn't have a clear weakness.
Which is why he was forcing Duke to pump Gotham Girl for information.
Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the process that they needed all that ransom money for was their strength is key to their life. The more strength they use, the more of their lives they lose.
Yeah.
They don't age, they just use up their life force, it seems.
To the point that even going under the best of circumstances, they only had about 2 years.
If they want to be like Superman-level heroes, yeah, about 2 years is the clock they're working under. If they just want to fly, they could have pretty long lives. Which, it's one of those things that could have made a great long-term story, is how much are they willing to sacrifice for what they do.
Right.
Unfortunately, you know, Gotham's story was cut short in this issue. Almost literally. However, it did start on the funniest of notes because Batman couldn't respond in time, so he sent Alfred in a Batmobile.
I love that entire speech he had.
I know, in a Batman costume. And he's talking to no one as he's just kind of putting on the cowl. Well, Thomas, allow me first to say what an honor it is to be asked for you to possibly entrust me with the care of Master Bruce. Well, sir, I am humbled. But of course, the need for such care will never arise. It's not as if on some dark night you're just going to walk down Crime Alley with Martha and her best pearls. That would be... absurd. But if such unlikely circumstances were to tragically come to pass, allow me to assure you that it will not be a difficult burden to bear. Bruce is such a good boy, sir, as you well know. Quiet and calm, and yet still compassionate and curious. Caring for him will be more than a pleasure than a chore, sir. A life of mild days, reading books, tranquil nights playing board games, perhaps a charity ball now and then.
Man, he has slothful dreams. And all the time he is gaining speed.
Yeah, he's gunned the engine and he rams Gotham with the car, which would be the third ruined Batmobile in 5 issues. And it's not like a mass production of Batmobiles. It's like 3 very different style Batmobiles that were all ruined. Like he had to dig into the garage.
He did have a lot of that issues in the issue 0 you made us read.
I know, but as soon as he gets out to confront Gotham, even Gotham can see through that mask and that weird pencil mustache and say, "You're not Batman."
Yeah.
You know, who are you?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. No, you're just a man in a mask. And what is that? What is that? Yes, well, Alfred, I'm here. Oh, thank God.
But Gotham did hang up on that idea of a man in a mask, which, you know...
Well, I mean, I guess I get it because that's what inspired him to become Gotham, but at the same time, he seems so befuddled by the idea of another guy in a mask. Like, it really just Control-Alt-Deleted him.
Well, no, he keyed in on it finally, and it was just like, you know, yeah, you're just a guy in a mask, just like the guy that I was hero worshipping all this time.
Yeah. And when Batman arrived, he went the extra mile. He blew up that third Batmobile and hit him in the head with a bat plane. Wonder how many of those he has.
Oh, I love this thing. What are you going to do? I'm going to drop a plane on you. What?
Yeah. And Gotham Girl in her fear grabs the trophy case that holds Damian Wayne's Robin costume, the one he died in, and throws it into the Bat computer and crushed it.
Yeah. Yep.
In her fear, no less. And then Duke Thomas hugs her. Dude has balls of steel.
Something's got to be made of steel there.
Balls of utter steel. And thankfully, Batman was smart enough to call in help, and this time around, the Justice League could respond.
Yes.
the entirety of the League, which sounds like Gotham is going to get his ass whooped, but no! Gotham made all of them look like chumps.
He can be as strong as he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Full Superman in one shot.
I know. Everybody he went up against just one-punched all of them. Even the Green Lanterns. When he grabbed Wonder Woman's lasso when she swung it at him and used that to swing her like a pendulum into Batman, that's a frickin' statement.
Or how about backhanding the Flash?
Without even looking at him.
That was almost hilarious. Because that's the kind of way you expect it to happen in like a bad cartoon, but he did it, man. He just pimp-slapped the Flash.
And Superman came back for round 2 and...
I know.
Down.
He came back for round 2 and went down like Buster Douglas. And Batman was trying to convince Gotham that Batman embodies Gotham, so if he wants to destroy Gotham, he needs to kill him. Batman was looking for the ultimate sacrifice again. But, in the meantime, Duke Thomas had gotten enough under Gotham Girl's skin where he convinced her, even though she's terrified, to go out and fight her own brother.
Mm.
For frick's sake, man. I guess that's the reason why I thought this was a little bit short, was it seemed like both Gotham and Gotham Girl were light on characterization by the time he died. And he didn't seem to die because of Gotham Girl fighting him. It seems like his life force just finally gave out.
Yeah, he just burned out after going up against all the people that he'd gone up against.
Yeah. And the 6th issue wasn't necessarily needed in our reading. I thought it was a decent epilogue, though. Issue 6 was all about how Gotham Girl was reacting after she pretty much considers herself the reason her brother died, even though reasonably not true.
Right.
But she's still under the effects of the Psycho Pirate.
Right.
You know, even though he's gone, it's not like the effects go away. He has to actively reverse what he did. So she's still terrified. But she's gotten to that point where she's not just sitting around moping about how scared she is. She's hit that point of fear where she's pretty delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary.
With her power level? Absolutely.
The entire issue just talking to her dead brother.
Yeah, like he's some kind of phantasm over her shoulder.
It's a mask to, deal with what she's dealing with.
Yeah, I did like the art better in issue 6. I think Ivan Rice was a better fit than David Finch. Not because David Finch stinks, but because Ivan Rice, he's better at setting a darker scene, I think, than Finch is.
Mm.
And that's more fitting with King's writing. I mean, even the one time where Batman and Gotham Girl were in the same rooftop, when she just looked at him for a moment and looked like she was about to break through her own problems, then just suddenly smiled and seemed ecstatic about meeting Batman.
Right.
Holy cow. And let alone, I forgot to mention, she started this issue by that very troublesome cry for help of cutting her own hair.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, man. I felt so sorry for this character. Because even though she's doing all this, she's trying so hard, but she's barely hanging in there.
No, yeah. And then, Bruce Wayne asking Alfred, how did he fix him, after the death of his parents? And Alfred's just like, you do all of these things. I don't think I did a good job.
Yeah. Master Bruce, with all due respect, each night you leave this perfectly lovely house and go leaping off of buildings dressed as a giant bat. Do you really think I helped you? Fair point.
Yeah.
Poor Kite Man. Just when it looks like they redesigned him for a modern era, his kite's ripped apart by Gotham Girl. And then at the end, that was probably the best moment of this entire arc to me, when Batman uses the bat signal to lure Gotham Girl to his particular location. Mm-hmm. And then he doesn't even spend time, berating her like he would a Robin or most other people that he runs across. He just listens to her and how hurt she is, and his first move is to take down his cowl and tell his story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Batman cannot, because he kind of spent this entire arc, trying to fix things as Batman. And finally just came to the realization that, Batman can't fix this, but Bruce Wayne can help.
Yeah, and from what I gather, the next arc, once you get past the tie-in to the Monster Men, is all about Batman trying to track down the Psycho Pirate so he can get the effects of his powers undone on Gotham Girl. Unfortunately, though, it turns out that the Psycho Pirate was traded by Hugo Strange for cases of venom.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and you know who loves venom.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that means he has to go face-to-face with Bane to get the Psycho Pirate, assuming Psycho Pirate was there long enough to be caught anyway. Goodness knows with his powers set, he can move on wherever he damn well pleases.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting, though, with the monologue, where it's basically saying that Batman is going to die, and Duke and Gotham Girl are going to wind up married? Is that what I was...
Yeah, that's the inclination that came... Right, that's what I got from that monologue. Batman is going to die very soon. Not long before that, Gotham Girl and Duke Thomas are going to be married. You know, it's like the appearance of Gotham and Gotham Girl set off a chain of events that eventually ends up in Bruce Wayne's death. Not the first time it would happen in comics. You know, he's been replaced as Batman several times, even died once or twice, which was quickly retconned, but still, I digress. It sets an interesting idea as to what's supposed to come in the future, and that's another major strength of Tom King's writing. He did the same thing in The Vision, where he tells you, by the end of this story, something horrible is going to happen. Would you like to know more?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't wild about the arc itself. It felt like it was just... It felt like X-Men Apocalypse to me. They tried to put too much into into too little of a story. If it was longer, this could have been really fleshed out, a little bit scary, a little bit sad, but it could have been the kind of Shakespearean thing Tom King is known for. I will say, though, that it's not something I would say I would not recommend. If you love Batman, this is the right kind of writing and the right kind of story to get involved in. I will say, though, that I think the better parts of the story are to come. I think that Tom King and Dave Finch set up the beginnings of a very long, very troublesome arc that's very likely to be extremely entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it necessarily kicked off here. It started here, but it did not kick off here.
Yeah, I could have done with at least one, but I think probably two more.
I think 2 or 3 more issues, and we could have gotten the characterization I would have liked.
Yeah, but honestly, the flow, even for as fast as it was not bad. It just, you know, I think they could have done more with a little bit more time.
You know, I guess my major complaint and the thing that needed more time was the character of Gotham himself. Because he is the center of what happened in these 6 issues, not necessarily because of what the Psycho Pirate did, but if you think about it, after he was saved by Bruce Wayne as a kid, was when he started his crusade that his sister latched onto to find a way to help the city. And that was the most characterization you got, was a small set of flashbacks. It felt like he could have been a really rich addition to the mythos if he was given a little more time to relate to before he died.
The thing is, I don't think he was supposed to be the focus. I know it seemed like he was the focus, but I think this was supposed to be for a story for a Gotham Girl, and he was just another element to her story.
Well, like I said, I see the bones of a story eventually that will kick off pretty well, but... You know, to me, that's almost like trying to figure out what the Phoenix is before you understand what Jean Grey is. Before the major part of this really has a chance to shine, you really have to focus on the cornerstone a little bit and discover what created Gotham Girl. And in this case, all we got was the scenario of it, but we don't really know the impetus that drove her, which was Gotham, unfortunately.
Well, just idolized her brother, I guess.
Oh, that was the most we got, was that she did what he did. That was supposedly the most of her motivation.
Yeah.
And so I would have liked to have known more about what he did.
I have to say that, you know, the one character that, you know, they didn't really change, didn't really need to, and I continue to just absolutely hate
the Bat
Amanda
Cow?
Waller.
Oh, Amanda Waller. Sorry. I was being a dick, but, you know, go ahead.
Yeah, God.
You know, Waller is a necessary evil to me, because she's one of those characters that, to me, when she's well done, she means well, but unfortunately her way of doing things is by the iron fist. You know, if this was a small country, she'd be a goddamn dictator.
Yes. There's no other way than her way, and she's always right, and Although I did enjoy the little army guy or whatever,
Lane.
General. Yeah, Lane. He's just like, oh, we can't get down here. This Lane, he's standing right behind you. It's just like, yeah.
I think it wasn't lost on anybody that was General Lane, Lois's father.
Oh, okay. I did not catch that, but
Really?
that makes sense.
I got that the first time I saw those two in panel.
Okay.
I've never seen Lois Lane's father, so...
I haven't either, but I knew her father was a general, and he was kind of a dick.
However, I will say it did fail me on the last page of issue 6 when Batman's talking to Amanda Waller to find out where the Psycho Pirate is. Because that last panel, when she looks up and tells him where to find the Psycho Pirate, I saw the way that Batman's face was drawn, and I thought, holy shit, is that a black Batman?
You're not the only one.
I had to reread that page like 2 or 3 times before I'm sure. No, wait, that's Bruce Wayne, but he looks like Black Dynamite. What the hell is going on here?
Lighting's pretty horrible.
The lighting and the choice of skin color for Batman in that one page, it threw me way off.
Yeah, the other thing is, with his, as much as Batman did, even to get down there to talk to her and everything, the notion that he has to rely on her in order to get into Bane's country, I find a little bit ludicrous.
Did he say he needed her? Because I thought he just needed a direction, not her help.
No, she basically just laid out the fact that, if they're going to do this, then, she's coming up with the plan. She's the one that, and he just said, okay.
Oh, she has a way to do it. Doesn't mean that's the way. I'm not sure if she really is the way, or he chose her way necessarily, because we did find out from solicits that he's teamed up with a couple of his villains, including Catwoman, to do it. That doesn't sound like a Waller plan.
I don't know. Suicide Squad?
Yeah, so Catwoman's never been part... I don't think she's ever been part of the Suicide Squad.
No, she hasn't. She's a little too capricious. But, I'm not going to say it's a bad story. It didn't feel like a complete story.
Well, there's definitely more coming, so...
Yeah.
I enjoy what was presented. I didn't have as many issues with as you guys with the, I guess, the physics and science behind everything. I just kind of remember, like, it's Batman, he can do anything, and they kind of made fun of it in the issues itself with Jim Gordon.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to just sit there and say, you know what, it's Batman, and kind of take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, that's the kind of stuff that does not make me a fan of Batman because of crap like that. It pulls me out of the story.
Yeah, I think I can just say I see the possibility in the story. The story just didn't come together for me in this arc. Well, I think the future is very bright for the character. Well, as bright as it could be for anybody living in Gotham. But, it didn't grab me here.
All you say is, I think I can safely say for sure between all of us that the writing Tom King did for the majority of this was, like, excellent.
Yeah, I will say that I am sure now that I've read both Vision and this Batman story that I am a fan of Tom King as a writer like I'm a fan of Peter David. I found a writer I can follow from book to book without worrying terribly. So, again, I'm not saying I hated this story even though I'm not a Batman fan. It had a few peaks and valleys. It was a little uneven for me. I think that's about it, though. I don't think we can drone on about it too much longer. I will... I guess we do need to make sure what we're reading going into the next year, just so I have a chance to put it together.
Oh.
Because it'd be nice to prepare.
There are a lot of things on our list.
Well, that list of 20 greatest didn't help any.
It doesn't add to it.
If I had my druthers, I guess I would say it must be either Saga, Black Widow, or Black Panther. All three of those sound interesting to me for different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys trust me enough to at least say it should be one of those three, and I'll just spin the wheel and figure it out?
Yeah, no,
sure. Roll a die.
Because, any of those did sound interesting.
Okay. Well, we'll have a little bit of Joker's Wild, but it will be either Black Panther, Black Widow, or Saga. I want to thank those people that have been listening to us for such a long time. I appreciate that we have a regular viewership both in this country and around the world. Those people that are around the world listening, thank you so much. You took a chance on us, and for some reason you kept coming back. I do hope that we're more entertaining. We're going to see about trying to expand our presence in conventions. I want to see if I can host more panels, because that's really entertaining to me. And goodness knows, the stories that came out of Great American were a lot of fun. And we learned a lot about characters we've been reading
very
for
insightful.
years. Yeah. And, hopefully we continue to be entertaining for you guys, and we find some good stories that we can share with everybody. And who knows, sooner or later we'll probably find a story that makes everybody just go, why did we do this? So, you guys got anything to add?
I just wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and see you guys next year.
Send all your hate mail to Jeremy.
Enjoy whatever holiday you enjoy. As the simple rule is, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it's all good in the hood. Thank you very much. I invite you to roll with us again next year. Hopefully we will see you again in 2017. Thank you very much. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Don't drink and drive. Take care.